We're proud to bring you this live presentation on Racer TV of the 50th anniversary of the Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. 50 years of world premier off-road racing. 50 years of battling the gnarliest woods racing on the planet. It's time to start a new chapter. The next 50 years starts now.
Years of racing GNCC. It has been a historical season, and we are here for the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. Our salute to first responders, and a championship is at stake. Will Bryson Neal seal the deal on the 2025 championship, or will someone else throw their name in the hat and get a little momentum heading into the last couple of rounds? It all starts right here, right now on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Round number 11, we are in full effect as far as silly season goes. Mike Ewain's here alongside Johnny Gallagher. And Johnny, man, we go back a couple of weeks. It was Bryson Neal who took the win, but that was not the story of the race. It was Josh Merritt, Bryson Neal, back and forth, down to the absolute checkered flag. It was one for the ages.
Absolutely. That was a battle, like you said, right down to the final corners. We got to see all the action live. They're right there on Racer TV. They passed each other. It looked like Josh possibly had it in the bag after Bryson had a little run-in with the lapper. Josh was able to make the pass, but Bryson just powering around the outside, banging bars all the way through the final turns, and that was GNCC racing at its finest. We can only hope to have it again this weekend.
We hope we have it replicated here this weekend. Of course, Hunter Hart having a solid day, rounding things out. Still in the hunt, and of course, Walker Fowler, not a great day for him. Did not do well as far as the points are concerned. A tough break for Walker.
Yeah, absolutely, and that really kind of left things wide open for Bryson Neal winning the race, obviously, in and of itself, and then Walker's 17th place finish, leaving Bryson with a 68-point lead coming into this weekend. We do know that they pay 30 points for a win with only 2 rounds after today. That means if Bryson Neal leaves here with 60 points or more, he is your 2025 GNCC overall ATV champion. He has the opportunity to do that here today, and you know that's going to be on his mind.
So we may crown an XC1 champion for the overall. We may crown an XC2 champion. Alex Tiemann setting himself up for success here today as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. Grabbing another win 2 weeks ago there at the Buckwheat, and Danik Paquin, a visiting rider from Canada, finishing in the number 2 spot, bumping Braxton Gross back to 3rd. A battle right down to the finish between those two as well. Mathematically, it's not as certain for Alex Tiemann, but there is an opportunity if Braxton would have a bad day that he could potentially wrap up that 2025 XC2 title. He has mentioned that if he does wrap the title up early, we might see him up in that XC1 row, but first he's got to get a couple more points and put the final nails in the coffin for that title.
Well, he's got to get through today. Well, hey, we spoke briefly about it, that battle we saw with Josh Merritt, Bryson Neal. Neal came away with the win, but the man we were just highlighting, and honestly, I'm going to say it, Johnny, sometimes I was rooting for him out there. We're not supposed to be biased, but man, it was a heck of a race. We actually had a chance to catch up with Josh Merritt himself.
I think that was my coolest loss in my career. But coming into that last lap, I knew Bryson had probably a 30-second gap. I seen him getting away from me and Hunter. Made the move on Hunter. He made a mistake, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to ride my pace and, roll in for a second place. I come down the hill. Bryson's pointing straight up at me. I'm like, oh, we got a race. So, I wasn't worn out at that point, and I was like, all right, I have some fight left in me. Let's kind of get on Bryson, see what we can do. And he followed that lapper up the hill, like he said in his interview, and he made the right choice because he was on the faster line. The lapper just made a mistake, and I was in the other line. I was like, whatever line he picks, I'm going the opposite. So it worked out. I got in front of him, and then it was a dogfight to the end. It was everything I had and more. Like, we come into the finish line, and I don't think I took a breath the last 4 or 5 corners. He outsmarted me. He's a 4 times champion, and he has so many more race wins than I do, but I'll give it to him. He set me up, he got next to me, and we drag raced down to that final, I think it was like 2 corners to go, and I tried to make a move around the outside, and he played it safe. He protected the inside, didn't let me kind of cut into him, and we went next to each other pretty much to the last corner. It was awesome. I love battling with him, and it was clean. It was fun. I've never had, I don't know, the only way I can describe it is buck fever, where you're fully shaking after you go deer hunting. Well, that happened to me in racing, and it's never happened to me before in racing. And I needed that adrenaline spike. I feel like it kind of motivated me again, and, you know, got me like, all right, I love the sport. Like, let's keep going. Let's get it. Because I didn't have the best year this year. I didn't get as many podiums as last year, but I'm back. I'm happy.
Well, great to hear from Josh Merritt. He's just, Johnny, honestly, Josh Merritt, and I know you guys are buddies, you're tight in the trenches, but he seems to be that pro rider that just very mature, does everything right, and everything I think his team around him ask of him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's been putting in the work the last 2 seasons, and it's really shown in his results. Went from a rider who, you know, was just kind of a top 5 guy, previously a top 10 guy, and last season came out and was absolutely entrenched in that battle with Wyatt Wilkin over that top 3 position all year. Wyatt edged him out at the end of the year, but Josh came back this year and said, hey, I really want that top 3. I even want to battle for a championship. Yeah. And no better way to put yourself in the mindset, making you think that you can battle for a championship than battling Bryson Neal down to the final corners. He's doing everything right now. We'll see if he can carry that momentum into today.
Little statistic for you. We've been coming here since 2019, so we've been here 6 seasons. This is our 7th. In those 6 seasons, we have seen 5 different winners at the Mountaineer GNCC. So Josh Merritt, why not throw your name in the hat?
Absolutely. You know, there's nothing like a track that offers a little bit of parity. We've seen it here again with 5 different winners in 6 years. This track is very challenging. There's so many obstacles out there and so many variables. We know it provides for great racing.
It's going to be a good one. Well, we are going to take a short break, but first, we want to see what we're facing as far as this track is concerned. And for that, we're going to throw it to Jackson Burrell, who stands by with Jared Bolton for a Yamaha Racing track description.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm here with trail boss Jared Bolton. Jared, as we make our return back here to the Boy Scout camp, what can we expect?
Well, you can expect more of the same that we've seen here in the past. It's rocky. It's tough. Some guys might argue and tell you this might be a little tougher than snowshoe. I'm going to disagree with them. You know, that's just my personal opinion. But this course is a little more on the technical side, and the big talking point this year is going to be the dust. It's going to be really dry. As a weekend wears on, it's going to get a little bit of that talcum powder silt. Going to get really difficult. You have to be really smart going into that stuff. You know, you don't want to dive bomb it, clog up your air filter. Next thing you know, you're sucking in some of that dirt, and your day's over in a heartbeat. But you also have to be careful because it is really rocky here. You're in West Virginia. You're in southern West Virginia. There's a lot of rock. You get in between that powder silt, and those rocks are going to hide and make things a little difficult. You have to pick your way through it. Got to be smart. This is going to be a I don't want to call it a survival run. It's not a survival run by no means, but you're going to have to be smart at this race, and it's going to play into the eyes of the guys that are a little more technical.
All right, well, there we go, guys. You heard it. The word of the weekend, going to be dust. Back up to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Jackson and Jared, for that track description here today. We know that these guys are going to be facing some very difficult obstacles. The weather and the conditions might be the story of the day, but right now we're going to let our man Mikey Waynes head down, do some 10-second calls, get the racing action underway, and you're going to be able to follow along with all of it live right here on Racer TV.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank. Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
And we want to welcome everybody here watching live on racertv.com. As you tune in, we are currently, this is our salute to first responders, the Mountaineer GNCC, and we are currently honoring those first responders as we have brought them to the XC1 line. I'm going to ask you guys on that XC1 line to stay there if you can through our prayer and our national anthem as well. If we've got any more out there, come on up. And again, if you're a spectator out there, come on up. We want you up here as well. Obviously, our salute to first responders goes back to September 11th in 2001 when the towers were struck, the Pentagon was struck. And if you've ever wondered how close to home that was, many of you know Sue Walker. She's out there with us. She's on the front line. I see her for 37 years at Tech. And the Berlin ambulance was one of the first responders to the Shanksville crash, which was the airplane that crashed in the field in Pennsylvania. So when we say that it is near and dear to the GNCC Racing Nation, it absolutely is. And it's because of people like Sue. It's because of people like the men and women on the front line here of the XC1 that we get to keep our freedoms here today in this country. Now, with that said, I want to transition into something that was told to us, spoken to us by our boss, who is out in Las Vegas right now for SMX, Miss Carrie Jo Russell. It's no mystery what happened, a couple of weeks ago now, with a young man, and I'll say young man because I'm a little bit older than what he was. That's Charlie Kirk. And politics aside, social issues aside, you don't have to agree with somebody on everything. In fact, that's what makes America great, is we can have differing opinions. But Charlie Kirk was a man who was open to conversation. Some folks didn't like what he had to say. Some folks loved what he had to say. But he was about that, being an American patriot and being open to discussions. So Carrie Jo told us, she said, hey, at GNCC, we take things like that seriously. If it comes to racing, it comes to politics, we want to hear from you guys. We want to make the series better. That's how we grow. That's how we continue to enjoy the sport that we love. So she told us, she said, we're going to do a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And on behalf of Racer Productions, I'm going to roll into that right now. So please join me in a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, his wife, and his family. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. That's as classy as it gets. I expected nothing less from our GNCC Racing Nation. Now, with that wrapped up, and thank you for that. One more time, I tell you what, make some noise for your first responders as well here at GNCC, helping keep us safe. Now, with that wrapped up, we will ask our first responders, if you're able, please stay with us right there. We'll ask our XC2 riders, if you're able to step up off of your machine onto row number 1 alongside our first responders. We're now going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Ricky Towery. But before we do that, I know we always pay attention to Ricky's prayer. I have people that don't even race GNCC, but they watch and they talk about the prayer just being so inspiring by Ricky Towery. So I know we listen, but pay special close attention to Ricky's words in his prayer. Pay special close attention to the words that will be sung in our national anthem. With that said, your undivided attention, ladies and gentlemen, leading us in a word of prayer, Mr. Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Mikey. Hey, let's go to the Lord this afternoon. Let's have a word of prayer together. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for bringing us all together safely to have a little fun together. Lord, we ask you to watch over these riders this afternoon, that you would keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. We thank you for the scouts, for letting us use this property to have some fun on. And our military men and women, Lord, they're everywhere watching over us 24/7 every day. Keep your hand over them and keep them safe. And be with our leaders, that they would make the right decision for our country at the high level and the local level. Lord, we just thank you for being in control of everything each and every day. We've been thinking about 9/11. Lord, it was 24 years ago, but sometimes it seems like it was just yesterday. Be with the family and friends that lost loved ones that day. Still help them keep moving forward. Help us as a country to keep moving forward. You've helped us through the years. Keep helping us keep moving forward. Lord, we thank you for all the first responders that were there that day, the ones that's here today, the ones that'll be here tomorrow watching over us. Keep your hand over each and every one of them. Lord, we just ask a special blessing for the Kirk family, that you would be with them and watch them through the next few days and weeks and months to come. Lord, we all just need to be thankful that we're here having fun together today. We just ask that later on today and tomorrow, we'll start heading down the road, going back to the house. Take us all back home safely, so that one day we'll get back together like this and we'll have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Ricky. And as Ricky Towery will jump on the ATV and make his way over to turn number 1, just a reminder, Ricky Towery, like we did at the Buckwheat 100, he will be on the outside of turn number 1. Many of you may not be able to see it from the start, but there's a small break in that Rocky Mountain ATV MC repeater. You'll see Ricky Towery there on the outside of turn number 1. So give Ricky just a moment to get into place. And as Ricky jumps off the ATV, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already and you're able, please stand at attention, remove your hats, and cross your hearts for a live singing of our national anthem, Kyla Meadows.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kyla Meadows with a singing of our national anthem. And if that introduction doesn't get you fired up, I'm not quite sure what will. Check your pulse. All right, without further ado, we are ready to meet our starting row for the XC1 Pro class here today. Riding to the line in accordance to points, the number 1 out of Bidwell, Ohio, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Up next, the number 6 out of Newfield, New York, on an HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech backed Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Up next, the number 4 out of Akron, Ohio, on a B&R Motorsports GBC and Merritt Racing backed Yamaha, Josh Merritt. The number 3 out of Hillsboro, Ohio, on an SBR Pierce Performance and Kinda backed Yamaha, the Reaper, Wyatt Wilkin. The hang on. Sorry about that. The number 5 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, on the B&R Motorsports Fearless and Kinda backed Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. The number 18 out of Acme, Pennsylvania, on an Action Off-Road Kinda and Custom Access backed Yamaha, Jay Shadron. The 7-1-2 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, on the Action Off-Road Pierce Performance backed Phoenix Racing Yamaha, John Galata Jr. The number 10 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, on an Action Off-Road and CB Racing backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. The 5-2-1 out of Waverly, West by God, Virginia, on an Ober Moose Racing Parts Unlimited and Lone Star backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. The 7-1-4 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on a Bulletproof Doors Kinda and Senge Graphics backed Yamaha, Robbie the number 10. The 1-7-1 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, Grayson Eller. The 6-0-9 out of West Hampton, New Jersey, riding aboard the Yamaha, Tyler Marlin. The 7-0-3 out of Petersburg, Indiana, on an Action Off-Road Maxxis and Lone Star Racing backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. The 2-4-6 out of Walker, West Virginia, on the Sturdivant Racing Maxxis and Moose Racing backed Yamaha, Brandon Owens. And last but certainly not least, the number 9 out of Casca, Pennsylvania, on a JMR, GBC, Elka, and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I might have Brandon Owens, Austin Abney. I think Griff caught a little faux pas by me. Sorry about that, fellas. It's my first day. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro class as our riders take their position. On row number 1, it's DJ Judd exiting the Mobile Entertainment Activation Transport. This is a reminder, you guys look about 99% good. All spectators must be behind the white stringer line. Again, all spectators behind the white stringer line. I think we're pretty money, baby. Thank you, guys. DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line in the gold sparkle helmet. That's the 50th anniversary edition sparkle helmet. And once he gets in position here, we'll turn our attention to Ricky Towery. But in the meantime, a lot at stake. I'm sure the comments are blowing up. We did not hear Walker Fowler in the XC1 lineup. Walker not lining up with us here today. We're going to let him speak to that, but Johnny Gallagher will have some more information for us, I believe, once we get back out of the commercial break. So no Walker Fowler here today. And Bryson Neal poised, may be able to wrap up that championship. Will we crown a 2025 champion here at the Summit Bechtel Reserve at the Mountaineer GNCC? Ricky Towery now has stepped out onto the track, and Judd, being the good man that he is, he blocked the view for a lot of folks. They were over there, they were cussing him. They said, "Thanks a lot, pal, I had a prime spot." And he said, "You got a better spot now. We're putting you in the VIP Mobile Entertainment Activation Transport." Enough's enough. Ricky Towery lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Mountaineer GNCC Racing. As Ricky now looks down at his watch, he keeps an eye on the time. And we wait with bated breath. That's stealing one out of the Rodney Tomlin playbook right there. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to set this thing off. And I got to ask you, West Virginia, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but I know you guys are emotionally charged. This is our salute to first responders. I want you to do it for them, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. As our riders jockey for position in the first turn, Josh Merritt out in front. Start's going to be so important today, and it is Merritt with the early lead. Can he hang on? He wants a win. He knows he's capable of it. Is today the day? We'll know in a couple of hours, but we reset the deck with the XC2. 10 seconds. B&R Motorsports holeshot award up for grabs. Keaton Henderson, Dalton Keys, Andrew Bonofsky, Andre Williams, Braxton Gross, Kenny Schick, Alex Tiemann, Alex Elioff, Jeremiah Wolf, Chase Allison, Christopher Kirby. Jockey for position 470. That is going to be Chase Allison. Grabbing that B&R Motorsports holeshot award, Alex Tiemann may wrap up that championship today. We might be giving out number 1 plates all over the place. 10 seconds. College A, 16 to 19. Talon Stout, Cameron Mulholland, Trevor Meadows, Ryan Wilhelm, Caden Lambruno, Gavin Mann, Graham Weaver, Andrew Smallwood, Triple XO, Brody Poland, Aiden Jones, Jordan Berg, Grayson Lane, and that was the 923 Cole Likens out of Sunman, Indiana, grabbing that whole shot and early lead right there. We got ourselves a dusty one. 10 seconds. Vet A, 28 plus. Tyler Griffith, Henry Moore, Simon Morin, Zach Bothwell, J.D. Higgins, Brent Hinkey, and Fred Marley. Fred Marley up the inside. Will that line pay off for him? No. That's going to be the 896, I believe, of Brett Henke out of Williamstown, West Virginia. Grabbing that whole shot and early lead as we turn our attention now to the Junior A 20+. 10 seconds. David Machisco, Connor Brandt, Ryan Hendershot, Jeremy Ladon, Dylan Trigg, Colton Kusha, Trevor Furdy, Briggs Lazelle, Slater Collins, David Witt, Trace Furby, Gavin Temple, Josh Axel, Dominic Stevens, Seth Wilson, Damon Grisham, and Garrison Paul. 054. Got a little crazy on turn number 1, but the 54 of Ryan Hendershot out of Waterford, Ohio, on that Mad Joe Machines back ride takes the early lead. 10 seconds. Senior A 40+. Oh, hold. Line them up. Ricky said, here we go. 10 seconds. Senior A 40+. Dirk DeCerci, Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Brad Whitehead, Sean Slattery, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, and the Marlboro Man, Todd Muscala. 409. That's going to be Brad Whitehead out of Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania, on that JMR and Maxxis backed Honda, grabbing that whole shot and early lead. 10 seconds. College B 16-18. Keelan Eichelberger, J.N. Mittner, Barrett Childers, Evan Bridgewater, Connor Humphreys, Trip Marino, Eli Edgar, Brady Shepard, Quentin Galker, Landon Kosler, and Owen Sullivan. Around the first turn we go. Keeps the power on the ground. A check up from the neck up from the 419. Trip Marino puts a little hot sauce on it out of Niles, Ohio, on that J&J Performance. And Marino's Custom Concrete back ride. Junior B 19+. 10 seconds. Chad Hahn, Josiah Newton, Evan Young, Colton Dooley, Ian Burns, Evan Lowmiller, Adam Safel, Tristan Howell, Latarian Horton. 801 out in front. That's Tristan Howell. And he will give us the head nod. He said, I got you, Mikey. Rider out of Worcester, Ohio, on the Yamaha leads the way. Vet B, 28+. 10 seconds. Tanner Dovisick, Taylor Lazelle, Perry Nicholson, Frederick Harder, Paul McCloskey, Anthony Lucas, Joe Rutherford, Brad Pennington, Tyler Miller, Cody Wolford, Amy Dunlap, and Jason Whitley. Here we go. Out in front, 987. That's going to be Jason Whitley out of Greensboro, North Carolina, on that Clearview demo and junk removal back ride. Grabbing that whole shot, Senior B, 40+. 10 seconds. Aaron Delancey, Jason Noble, Douglas Bailey, Joe Dehart, Nicholas Ringer, Robert Perry, Chris Carson, and Matthew Hartwell. Into the first turn we go. Looks like everybody's off of the line, and that's going to be the 402 Nicholas Ringer out of Buckhannon, West by God, Virginia. And that is going to wrap things up for us for a moment. We're going to take a short commercial break, get in a word from our sponsors, but how about it? Josh Merritt, it was a sensational race between him and the Bidwell Bullet just a couple of weeks ago. Can Merritt grab his first win of the season? All that and more right after this.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles: automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 50th Annual Progressive Insurance Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. We're here to bring you the action from the 2025 Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'll be alongside Zach Heron, Johnny Gallagher, and, of course, Mikey Waynes, who you've already heard from. Zach, start's going to be critical here today. Take us through it.
Well, you can see why, Jackson. We are actually reenacting the Dust Bowl of 1932 here this weekend. No, all kidding aside, some different scenarios than what we're used to. We got a little bit of dry conditions, a little bit of dust flying, but these guys, they're not scared of it. But like you said, as if the start isn't always crucial enough, on days like today, you can see it. Blood was in the water, smell was in the air, everybody battling, ready to put the elbows up heading into turn one. But really no elbows needed. Josh Merritt slides up the inside and takes control of that early race lead. I believe that was Brandon Owens just behind him. Adam McGilligan slided into the number 3 spot just in front of Jared McClure. And then Bryson Neal doing a little bit of that bumping and banging, secures that top 5 spot headed back into the woods. Meanwhile, your XC2 class, it was a little bit of shuffling around, but it was going to be Chase Allison on the 470 grabbing that early race lead. But this is one of those interesting start sections where we see the switchback and some quick passes being made, but almost immediately. They threw a little bit of water down on that start section there, Jackson, but this is going to be the tail of the tape. Not just the dust itself, but the floating dust. It doesn't really move. Not a ton of breeze on the property. As we take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map, we can see what the track's going to be, but how much of the track the riders are going to be able to see might be a different story.
No doubt about it. I'd like to welcome Johnny Gallagher into the booth. Johnny, what have you been seeing out there on that Yamaha track?
Well, just like we saw on camera there, if you're out in the woods, you're not seeing much. It really, truly is limited visibility, folks. A great camera shot there, although not the best for following the race action. It really does give you perspective as to what these guys and gals are facing out there. It is just so very dusty. Obviously, anybody living in this part of the country knows we are in a drought. We have not had rain for quite some time, and here at the Summit Bechtel facility, as we see on our Yamaha Racing track map, the course traverses all of the mountains here, up and down. You know, the topography doesn't really show, but you're up and down. You're seldom flat. Really, the only flat area of this race course is right around the start-finish area. And as it works its way through the pits here, everything else, you're either off camber, up, down, and all of that just made that much harder by the dusty conditions. Not only does it limit your visibility to be able to race the other riders, but it really limits what you can actually see on the ground. Makes it difficult to pick lines. You're kind of almost looking like what we saw there with the camera through a haze. If you've ever driven on a foggy morning and you're kind of having to slow down, can't really see the road lines, can't see the other cars, that is what these guys and gals are facing out there right now. And it's going to be the worst here at the beginning of the race when they're all so tightly bunched. We saw off the starts. I mean, if you were back in 3rd, 4th, 5th place, you couldn't see hardly anything. He's got his headlights, so he's got a little advantage there. Now we flash forward here, too, a little further along the racetrack, and look at that. Josh Merritt kicking up dust and marching away with this one already. Very reminiscent of what we saw last year with Ronnie Rush grabbing that hole shot and just running away from the field. Everybody else fighting visibility, fighting the conditions, and Josh Merritt now with a big gap here, just part ways into lap number 1.
Well, Johnny, I was just about to ask, when we talk about the difference between muddy conditions compared to something like this, the gaps that we see early on as we see Adam McGill make his way through now in the number 2 spot are really opening up. In our 4x4 Pro earlier, there was a minute and a half Cody Collier had out front there on that opening lap. Normally those guys are maybe a knobby, if that, apart from one another. It just goes to show in conditions like this, no matter how brave or how fast these riders are, if you can't see, you can't push that pace.
There you go. So there's your top 3 through, and there's Wyatt Wilkin in 4th. That was Jared McClure in the number 3 spot, Adam McGill in 2nd, and Josh Merritt out front. You can see these guys are strung out. Now we see our series championship points leader with a very good chance to wrap things up today, sitting there in the number 5 spot. Then it looks to be the number 10 of Chris Borch in the number 6 spot. Just behind him, it looked like it might have been Brandon Owens. Can't sit down there. There is Austin Abney on the 703. Now you can see these guys a little closer together. There's Stephen Harrell on the number 5, Hunter Hart on the number 6. We saw him a good ways back off the start, so he's made some passes. Then it is Jay Shadron. Just behind Shadron, these guys so much closer together. There's Ronnie Rush, and that looked like Braxton Gross possibly coming out of that XC2 class. There's Grayson Eller. Now we see, looks like some more XC2 riders possibly working their way through here. Hard to tell who's who, man, when the dust is flying like this. Guys, you can call me Eagle Eye all you want, but I'm having a tough time even with this one. It is hard to tell who anybody is as they just come charging out of the dust at a high rate of speed. That's Jeremiah Wolf there, so I think that was Braxton Gross already up to the tail end. It was a rider on a Honda wearing a Camelback, and I believe Braxton Gross, the only one that I saw on the starting line that fit the bill there. There's Alex Tiemann, so not a good start for him today if he does want to try to put the wraps on that 2025 XC2 championship. His closest competitor, Braxton Gross, is out front, marching away and already up into the XC1 standings. Talking about that XC1 championship, Bryson Neal coming into today 68 points ahead of his nearest competitor, Walker Fowler, as we see Josh Merritt on screen here. Merritt, again, we do know has a pretty good gap as of our last camera shot. Walker Fowler not with us today. The official word from the Fowler camp is that Walker is dealing with some personal matters. He will speak on his own behalf as to what all he's going through and how he's handling it when he has the opportunity. We will have him back here in the future, but he is not joining us this weekend for the Mountaineer GNCC. Unfortunate. And what that means for the points is that Bryson Neal, with roughly, I think if my math is correct, 17 points over Hunter Hart, meaning he would just need a 13th place finish today if Hunter wins the race. Right now he is ahead of Hunter Hart, and that would put him well in position to lock up this 2025 overall ATV championship. B. Neal looking like he is on the drive to championship number 4. There is your 2nd and 3rd place riders, Adam McGill and Jared McClure. A couple of Hondas up there in the number 2 and 3 spot. And it's starting to shake out, but you can see the gaps really not getting too much closer. Wyatt Wilkin on a charge. Look like he already has goggles off. That, on a day like today, man, that is a big statement. You must really think you're going forward if you're taking those things off, because you got to make some passes or get yourself some fresh goggles very soon.
Well, and Johnny, now I was going to ask if you are, as we see Bryson Neal making his way through. Bryson maybe in a little bit more comfortable of a spot and knows the point situation, kind of knows what he does or does not need to do. But if you are in Alex Tiemann, where maybe you didn't get the start that you're needing, but your biggest competition's out front, in conditions like this, what can you do? Is it the patience that's going to pay off later in this race? Does the dust maybe settle as the riders spread out? Or blinding dust or not, do you need to be go, go, go right now to try to make these passes?
Well, I think if you're Bryson Neal on a day like today, knowing the point situation, but keep in mind, this is a guy who loves to win races. I mean, he's a champion. He's a race winner. He doesn't want to sit back there, ride around in that 5th place spot to lock up this championship. He wants to win this race. But he also has the self-control and the presence of mind, the self-awareness to say, okay, hey, I'm not going to override the track. If I can't see, I'm not going to take any unnecessary chances. I think what we're going to see Bryson Neal do, very similar to what happened last year when he was back in that 3rd, 4th, 5th place spot early on. He just kind of picks his spots, puts in a charge when he can, gets up close to the rider in front of him. And here's the thing about the dust. If you can get right to the rider's rear wheel in front of you, they're not kicking up dust in time for it to block your vision. But when I say right to the rear wheel, I'm talking like slip of paper between you and the rider in front of you. Once you get even 2, 3, 4 bike lengths back, that dust starts to cover the ground. You can't see, and then 10, 15 bike lengths back, the dust is already up at eye level, and you're completely riding blind. So Bryson Neal, I expect to see him kind of pick his spots, make a charge. The next rider in front of him right now, Wyatt Wilkin, is also going to be trying to do the same thing to move forward. But, you know, Adam McGill and Jared McClure are as well. So right now, the guys that Josh Merritt in the catbird seat, I mean, he's right where you want to be. No dust in front of him. Keeping in mind, though, as he starts to get into lapped riders midway through lap number 2 and especially into lap number 3, then the tables are going to be not turned, but evened out a little bit. He's not going to have that clear vision to where he's riding. Right now, Josh Merritt is riding so freely, so loose. Everybody else is tensed up. They can't see what they're doing. They're just kind of going off feel. So I expect to see Bryson definitely put in a charge, but at the same time, Zach, as you pointed out, the point situation, surely he's aware of it. I don't expect to see him do anything today to risk throwing away what could be a very good points day for him, and he doesn't need to do a whole lot to lock up the championship today.
Now let's flip the tables a little bit. XC2 Alex Tiemann, a little bit further back. You've got your competitor up front. I believe Tiemann would still have the points lead, but the potential to wrap it up, these guys say it may not be on their mind, but they're aware of what they could do by the end of the day today. If you're in Tiemann's position right now, it's a bit of a balancing act, risk versus reward.
I think Alex Tiemann probably a little bit more sense of urgency, especially if he was aware that Braxton Gross was up in the top 3 off the start. Tiemann was back there at about 7th or 8th. Looks like he's still there, but now Braxton has made passes, gotten to the lead. And I'll tell you what, these guys know, they study their competitors, and he knows that Braxton Gross thrives in these dusty and rocky conditions. So in all honesty, if you're a defending champ like Alex Tiemann is, sure, he's confident in his abilities to win in any conditions, but he probably knows he has his back against a wall with Braxton on a day like today, even if they were head-to-head and he was ahead of Braxton. So the fact that Braxton is already kind of starting to march away, not only having other XC2 riders in the mix, but now the XC1 riders starting to be riders in between those, I almost think that Alex Tiemann hopefully will take a breath and say, okay, we got a good points lead. I'm going to try to fight to get myself on the podium today. And if the opportunity to go after Gross comes, sure. But I don't think if you're Alex Tiemann, you should be kind of sending it to try to get to lead. It's all about points, Jackson. Right now sitting back in that 7th, 8th place spot, he would be getting about 13 points, whereas Braxton Gross out front 30. So again, that'd be about a 17-point gain for Braxton Gross. Again, Alex Tiemann still would have the points lead, but it would tighten things up a bit with 2 rounds remaining, so he's going to try to make as many passes as he can and really try to charge through this dust.
Yeah, no doubt. Sitting in a little bit different spot than we see in that XC1 class. Going to be interesting all the way through. Just getting this one started. We still got 3 more to go.
Jackson, you look there as we switch away from that camera shot. On the outside, that silt berm is just crazy. That's all just dirt and dust that has just been pushed to the outside of the track, piled up, and now it almost looks like a little mini sand dune. We go ahead here to the 11-mile marker at our FMF PowerPoint. We're waiting on our leaders, waiting to see what we believe will be the number 4 of Josh Merritt coming through, at least as of our last camera shot. We're seeing some dust, and there is the 4 of Merritt on that Action Off-Road Yamaha. And you can see that big Action logo with the stars and bars there. Proud to be an American here this weekend. A lot of patriotism this weekend, obviously, with September 11th just having passed. GNCC always doing a phenomenal job of recognizing our veterans, and a ceremony there on the starting line. Josh Merritt carrying that through with the stars and bars on the side of his machine. And guys, look at the gap he's got.
Yeah, cool weekend for sure. This is our salute to first responders. A big shout out to all of the first responders as we see the Gator making his way through. Adam McGill, one of the only riders that I at least saw running what basically just as a mask, a dust-based mask to help him from breathing in some of that dust. You know, I had to give him a little grief about it, but nonetheless, looks like it's working for him, breathing clean right now.
I'm going to tell you right now, Adam McGill, if he hasn't already, will be ditching that here pretty soon. Makes it very hard to breathe. You know, off the start, if you can kind of keep yourself out of that dust and maybe try to make some passes. And I'm not speaking for Adam, I don't know, but I would assume, look at this, Wyatt Wilkin has put in a charge now and almost to the rear wheels of Jared McClure. So that is the rider on the move. Next, we should see the big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet. But it looks like as though he has lost some ground to Wyatt Wilkin. He was closer in our last camera shot. Just goes to show how quickly things can change in conditions like that. That was Bryson Neal we saw coming. We're going to flash ahead a little further here to Josh Merritt. And again, guys, keep an eye on the screen. Josh Merritt comes through, nice clear vision, can see everything. Going back just a little bit further here to Bryson Neal. Wait until our next riders come through. And even here you can see the dust just kind of hanging. Yes. And this is a much more open part of the racetrack where the wind actually comes out of the field above and blows. There's places in these valleys where the dust just hangs. You could ride a lap on this track and come around the next lap and hit your own dust.
Well, and it's so interesting, too, just the difference between this shot here at mile 11 compared to the shot we just flashed forward to with Josh Merritt. You actually saw some color, some moisture in the dirt. We saw that a lot in our micro and youth races this morning. Riders coming up, somehow they were covered in mud, in actual standing water. So there are some spots that have been able to hold the moisture a little bit more. I believe there's some water on property as well. But overall, you're getting kind of the best of the best as far as wet and dry conditions.
So there's Boric in 6th. There's Glada in 7th. So that is your top 7 as they've checked through here. And again, the racing surface very different throughout different parts of this property. Oh, look at this. We've got an attempt at a pass. Stephen Harrell around the outside, looking like he was able to make the pass on Austin Abney. That was a great line he pulled out there. Then there is Hunter Hart.
That's how you do it. GNCC racing at its finest.
He went out, did the homework on the site lap or out on the mountain bike yesterday, checking out the course. Now here we come out. Looks like I believe he has just checked in with 1 lap complete, if I'm correct. This section is right after the finish line. Yes, Josh Merritt has checked in. Now here comes the Gator, Adam McGill, completing lap number 1. We'll see what the gap is as McGill checks in. It is 25.1 seconds. It's a pretty substantial gap, but we know that's largely coming. Not that Merritt isn't running a great pace, because he is, but largely that's coming from the visibility and the fact that these guys can only go as fast as they can see. We can see even Wyatt Wilkin was a little closer to Jared McClure in that last camera shot. So another, let's see. Oh, Jared McClure's transponder possibly not working here, not getting an update. Oh, there he is now. Another 17 seconds back is Jared McClure behind Adam McGill, and then Wyatt Wilkin 26 seconds behind Jared McClure. Didn't seem like it was that long, but I guess maybe it was. So yeah, you've got a 25-second gap from first to second, 17 from second to third, and then 26 back to fourth is Wyatt Wilkin as Bryson Neal checks in the number 5 spot. Your championship points leader, folks, if you're just joining us at home, a very, very realistic chance to wrap up this championship here today with a 68-point lead. Leaving today, there will only be 60 points left available. Coming into today, 90 points left available. Still possible for someone to, jump up there. The only 2 riders left mathematically with a chance, I believe, were Walker Fowler and Hunter Hart. Here we see Josh Merritt now already starting to get in some dust. Maybe
this is one of our muddier sections here, I believe, isn't it?
But look at the dusting. I think that might be from the crossroad there. Oh, you know what? This is a section where the track runs out. So just behind the camera, there is track coming the other way. So this dust is blowing up out of the woods. And here is McGill now coming in the number 2 spot. But with 68 points and only 90 left available, if Bryson Neal scores a solid points day today, ultimately running some quick math, and we can have OPAG, our producer Adam Gordon, check this. I believe if Hunter Hart were to win this race, Bryson Neal would need roughly a 13th place finish to clinch the championship. Interesting line there from Jared McClure, staying up out of those ruts, keeping his forward drive, and showing his prowess out there in the number 4 spot.
One thing with seeing this section here, seeing some of those ruts, Over at the finish line where me and Zach stayed for most of the day, I was very surprised at how deep those sections were coming up to the finish line. Not necessarily in the flat filled sections, but once you got into the woods, even though it was just as hard packed as those hard packed filled sections, somehow, some way, those ATVs are digging into the ground and they're making ruts, Johnny, almost deeper than what we're seeing here in this muddy section.
Yeah, this place doesn't get ridden a lot. Look at that. Interesting line from Bryce Neal down low. They're staying out of those ruts. And in the number 5 spot, doesn't look to be a huge sense of urgency out of the Bidwell Bullet. Again, the conditions today, he was well aware coming in of where he's at in the points and knowing the track conditions. This is a very, very smart rider. I don't anticipate seeing him panicking sitting back in the number 5 spot. There is McGill. Don't know if we missed our leader, Merritt, coming through here at the 1 mile marker. It looked like there was already some dust hanging, so we are told from OPAG that we did, in fact, miss Josh Merritt. So still out front, the number 4 Merritt in the number 2 spot, the 521 of McGill. And next coming should be number 9 of Jared McClure in that number 3 spot. And no, Wyatt Wilkin has made the pass.
So we saw Wilkin start to close that gap up, and really seemed like he was kind of just hammering some of those lines, creeping his way forward. I was able to make the move around McClure.
Interesting. Something happening with McClure here. Now, guys, there is a high-low line here, and we are looking only at the high line. So there is a low line down there. It's possible McClure could have gone down there or be going down there. Now we see, looks like Bryson Neal was in the number 5 spot, at least on camera. Looks like he may have gotten around Jared McClure unless we missed him. Bryson Neal possibly up to the number 4 spot, even further bettering his chances to wrap up this title here today as he sits well ahead of his nearest competitor in the points as they run on track, Hunter Hart. Again, doesn't need to beat Hunter Hart today, really just needs to finish within 16 or 17 spots of him in the overall positions to wrap up the title here today.
Yeah, one thing worth mentioning about Bryson as well is, although he does feel good coming into this one with a head cold, so all this dust, I'm sure that's going to take some extra effect on him here today.
Man, breathing in these conditions, I don't know if you guys have ever raced or done anything in conditions like this, but it is...
Set at the finish line.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. That's a dangerous spot to be. Absolutely crazy. You know, once you're your nose gets clogged up, your throat gets clogged up, and it's just restricting your airways, that it becomes so hard to breathe, and which obviously makes you tend to tighten up, pump up a little bit, doesn't carry the oxygen to the muscles as well through the blood vessels, and man, it's these conditions are very challenging in more ways than one.
Absolutely brutal as we see some more riders making their way by, waiting on our lead group.
Yeah, it's saying our 1 mile marker. This is actually on the opposite side of that camera, so I believe that shot is where we saw Josh Merritt coming the other way at the 11 mile marker. So now we're looking back at some of our B-class riders working their way through. Now we jump ahead here to, this is also the 11 mile marker, and that is Big Papa P, Jeff Pickens there, one of the top runners in our 40-plus A-class, a former XC1 rider in his own right with a chance to lock up his championship as well in that 40-plus class out there. We've talked about it before. When you're watching these races on screen, folks, you see some of the best riders in the world. You see some of the best riders from each region come to GNCC to show their stuff. You have some riders that, former top pro riders, still enjoying it, wanting to be out there. And even though they may have left the sport for a while, started families, started a business, you get GNCC racing in your blood, and it's hard to get it out. A lot of these guys are just out there having a great time, weekend warriors here with their families, and strutting their stuff against the best within their class.
And doing it right now, watching some more of our amateur riders making their way by. Not a whole lot you can see from our drone here this weekend, as a lot of tree coverage this time of the year, and seeing some battling here at this camera spot. But yeah, not quite what we'll see with the drone today, so we're going to pay a lot of attention to these cameras down here, which gives us a great opportunity to get to see some of those amateur riders.
Man, saw that amateur rider just get absolutely drenched right there.
And for those of you wondering at home, you know, where could this is some of our XC2 riders coming through. That was James Galata there coming through that camera shot. If you're wondering where this water is coming from, we are in the mountains. There's a lot of natural springs that will just pump water out of the ground, but you would need about 14 million of these things on the property this weekend to properly, water or moisten the conditions so that we weren't be dealing with dust. I mean, it is just dusty, dusty, dusty. It looks like possibly some of our top amateur riders coming through. That may be Talon Stout, who's been a top amateur rider a number of times this season out of that college A class coming through. We don't get these guys on camera very often, so when we do, try to show them some love. One mile in here, lap number 2. Josh Merritt, after grabbing the hole shot, has continued to hold on to the early lead out front, being chased by Adam McGill. And this camera shot may be the tail of the tape, folks. We need to keep an eye out for Jared McClure. We did not see him in our last camera shot. Merritt making it look easy. Again, still at this point, 4 miles into lap number 2, clear vision. No dust in front of him. He's good to go. But at some point, he's going to start seeing, now he's 4 miles in. We saw we were just at the 11, and those were still A-class riders coming through. So much further back, maybe at the 7-8 mile marker, you have, your B-class riders. So Josh is going to start catching those riders. All these XC1 guys are pretty quickly. We just saw Adam McGill come through there in the number 2 spot, and that will change the dynamic of the race a little bit. But right now, he is absolutely reaping the benefits of that excellent start he had. There is McClure. So we just missed him on camera. If you're at home, don't panic. McClure's still there in the number 3 spot, and still ahead, actually, of Wyatt Wilkin, who is right there in the number 4 spot, but still charging, riding within that dust field of McClure ahead of him, trying to get close enough to try to make a move.
Man, oh man, and the dust behind those boys as they make their way through. These riders really got their work cut out for them today. But we hear that old term, riding the ride that dreams are made of. Josh Merritt, if he's able to get the win here today, that it truly would be. Still looking for his first win, correct, Johnny?
Of the season. He did win a race last year at Caroline Park, but yes, that would be his first win this season. Coming so close 2 weeks ago. Bryce and Neal passing him around the outside with about 4 or 5 turns to go, and those guys wheel-to-wheel battling, just knocking sidewalls of tires. We saw the celebratory high fives and hugs when they crossed the finish line. These two guys have been battling each other since their days in youth ATV racing, and now they're two of the best in the business out there battling it out for wins on the largest ATV racing stage in the world. You talk about the ride that dreams are made of. I think a lot of these guys are on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And for Josh Merritt, you have to imagine what a confidence boost that would be for him to be able to go from battling with Bryce and Neal at the last race to being able to stand on top of it here at this one. That would be a good jump in his direction.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about confidence, I mean, Josh Merritt as a rider, it wasn't an overnight success for him. I mean, he's been in the XC1 class, I believe, since 2014, so 11 years in that class. Really didn't start having success at podiums until 2 years ago. There is Chris Borg, so a solid ride for him there, still in the number 6 spot. Next up should be the 712 of John Galata Jr., but it looked like Galata was starting to get some pressure from Stephen Harrell. Looking at our live timing and scoring, now it looks like Galata may have picked up the pace. There is Harrell on the number 5, sitting in that number 8 spot, and just behind him, Hunter Hart now putting in a big push. Has gotten around a number of riders. He's gotten around Abney, and look at this, Braxton Gross, 9th place overall. We were talking about that earlier. There is Austin Abney, but we should be seeing the 223 of Gross coming through with the green number plates. Might not be able to see it with the dust, but that is an XC2 rider who has marched his way up inside, and there he is on screen. This rider is built for these conditions. A Southern California boy that rides in the dust, rides in the rocks. Granted, the trees are a little tight for him right now, but the last 2 seasons, he's come out, really been cutting his teeth and learning so much in that XC2 class, battling for race wins last year, battling for a championship this year, and this could be his day to shine. We've already seen him get up as high as, I believe, 7th overall in Florida is his best finish. So looking like he's trying to put himself in position to maybe do a little better than that today. There was Ronnie Rush coming through, and I believe this is going to be the 171 of Grayson Eller, also out of that XC1 class, making dust and making haste, trying to catch the rider in front of him, which is Ronnie Rush.
Yeah, like you said, as far as Braxton Gross goes, got to think this is kind of tailor-made for him, and he's picked up a lot as far as the way of GNCC. We talked to him on the podium, and he's all about the learning process, but it's got to be nice to be able to kind of get back into familiar conditions, and Gross showing why, as he is just about 5 positions in front of his closest competition in that XC2 class.
And there we did just see the 470 of Chase Allison come by, rider we don't see at the front of that XC2 class quite as often. So shout out to him, getting a good start and making the most of it here, riding well in that number 2 spot. And then there's a whole slew of XC2 riders coming behind him. Andrew Benoski, Jeremiah Wolf, Logan Steele, Alex Tiemann, all rounding out the top 20 overall. But look at the gap that your top 2 in that XC2 class have opened up over the rest of the field there. you can see clear vision, no dust, and still here at the 6-mile marker as we wait and watch for the number 4 of Josh Merritt. Sounds like he might be coming. There he is on screen, the number 4 of Merritt out front making dust, but still no lapped riders in front of him now 6 miles into lap number 2. He's continuing to enjoy that clear vision, Zach.
Yeah, and he's making the most of it, too. Talk about making hay while the sun is shining. You can see the sense of urgency from Merritt, still charging hard in the body language, looking like he's on more than just a Saturday cruise. And got to think, like you said, he's no stranger to this game as well. He knows as soon as I start catching in the lap traffic, the odds may be shifting a little less in my favor. I think McGill has also really picked up the pace here, and be curious to see what the time difference looks like the next time they come around, as McClure also seems to have picked things up just a bit. We'll see. It should still be Wilkin back there in the number 4 ride, but right now for Josh Merritt, making the most of the opportunity. We saw how fired up he was to grab that early race lead, and I think it shows why. These guys talked about how important it was in conditions like this. Now he's making the most of it with that gap built up.
I had an opportunity to speak with Josh just before the start. I said, Josh, if there's ever been a day where you can get a start, he looked at me, he said, you're about the 500th person that said that to me. I said, well, that's because it's true, buddy. And I just looked at him and I said, buddy, don't stress about it. You practice starts all the time. Sometimes you just got to execute. He did just that. And the reality of it is, reason for telling that story, every one of these guys knew today the start was it, man. Like, if you could get a start, you don't have to be the fastest guy on the track. You can literally just go out there, ride good lines, ride smart, and you're going to make so much dust. Someone really has to be, you can't just be 3, 5, 7% faster than somebody and try to get up to them and make a pass. In conditions like this, you really have to be a lot faster, and all these guys are so close. Will we see passes today? Sure, but we're not going to see riders charging through from the back of the pack and coming up and grabbing wins. It's just, nothing's impossible, but on a day like today, it's a tall, tall order.
Well, enough of us. Let's talk to the man himself. We were able to catch up with Josh Merritt earlier this weekend and talk to him about racing in these kinds of conditions.
So for this weekend, man, you have to get a good start. This track's dusty. It's kind of faster. It's one line. So it's going to be hard to pass. So good start is going to be a key. You're racing to that first corner, and after that, it's a lot of risk in making passes. So you got to be smart out there, but we're going to have fun. We're going to do good. And then the rest of the year, I'm currently in 4th place, and I heard Walker isn't here this weekend, so I have a chance to get maybe even up to 2nd place at the end of the season. So lots of racing to go and super excited.
Well, there it is. Josh Merritt, like we said, not only trying to take advantage of the opportunity of his starting position, but just the overall opportunity that the weekend has presented these guys. I think kind of once you come back from summer break, Johnny, it really seems like the mentality changes. Most of these guys, when you talk to them, they say they're taking it race by race, but it would be foolish to not think that they've got the big picture in the back of their head, aware of what the points breakdown is and how they need to perform in these final 4, now these final 3.
Sure, and you look at each race individually, you need to get a good start. Look at this. Braxton Gross has made even more passes now. He's actually up almost to the back of Hunter Hart, which I know he's showing ahead of him in the overall, but man, that is a big chunk of time that he has made up. The number 223 on the move. But when the races are over, the first thing, watch these guys. Before they're even out of their gear, they're holding their phones. They're not texting the girlfriend if she didn't make. They're checking the points. Yep. They want to know, like, where did I stack up? How did everybody else do? Because these are points battles. I mean, these top 3 positions, top 5 positions, even top 10 positions, especially in the overall, are just so valuable. They work all year round for this. When you see at the end of the day, like, okay, I had a good day today. You never want to wish ill on your competitors, but if someone makes a mistake or has a bad day or has a bad points day, it can just really reinvigorate you. And I think that's what we're seeing with Josh Merritt now. Didn't quite have the opening to the season he was hoping for, but you heard it from him right there. Hey, looking at it realistically, I could find myself in the top 2 by the end of the year. Mathematically, not in the fight for the championship anymore. Bryson Neal really kind of having a lock on that, but hey, if you can't be number 1, number 2 is the best of the rest, and that's a good spot to be. There's Chase Allison, 2nd place in that XC2 class. Again, a shout out to him, riding very well here today, approaching a little over halfway through lap number 2 here, and about 40 minutes into this one. I'm guessing we're probably going to see roughly a 5-lap race here. We did see that this morning. A little bit of track added this afternoon. I believe they said about an extra 1.75 miles for this afternoon race, but still looking like it is going to likely fall in that 5-lap race. But we don't make those calls. We'll wait and we'll watch. We'll see what it is when they check in. But with the first lap of 27, oh, actually, sorry, that's our College A riders there.
Sorry.
No, you're good. With a first lap time of, 23:21 for your leader, Josh Merritt. Most likely, unless these laps do get longer, race control will likely make this a 5-lap race.
So going to be interesting to see as far as the full race breakdown. Like we said, we'll let you know as soon as we get the official word there from race control. They're live monitoring the situation as they make that call just about 42 minutes or so into an approximately 2-hour-long race. Josh Merritt making the most of a good start and trying to turn it into a good finish as well. We're going to get ready to keep the party rolling. The fans are out and about. We've got dry conditions here this weekend for the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. The dust is flying. The announcers are smiling, and Josh Merritt probably smiling a little bit too. Out front leading the way. The Gator fans, they're smiling. He's doing it for all the McGillbillies. Let's see if he can bring this home for an XC1 podium. And, of course, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal, could wrap it up today. Will he get it done? We're going to have to wait and find out when we're back with more GNCC racing right here on Racer TV.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to the Dust Bowl 2025 GNCC. No, this is – I didn't mean to catch you off guard there, Johnny. This is
Mikey's been on one this weekend, folks.
The heat has gotten to me, to say the least. Yeah, no, it has.
Look at those woods.
Dude, it's insane. I mean,
it looks like a bunch of little mini cyclones out there just spinning dust. Nothing the track crew can do. I mean, Mother Nature has to water these tracks. There's been no rain. They've done the best they can to try to get some fresh ground for these guys and gals to run on. They're doing the best they can. Yeah. The riders are dealing with it. This is part of GNCC racing, part of off-road racing. You can't go out there and water an 11-mile track. First off, the water track doesn't fit through the woods. Right. Second off, the pond would be sucked dry. So these are the conditions. Everybody's facing the same thing, and it really is just another variable for these guys to deal with here at the Dust Bowl 2025.
We've not been used to these dust races in a long time. It is what it is. It's cliche to say, but starts are so important every race. But yeah, these dust races, the man who got out in front early, Josh Merritt, last we knew, still leading in a pretty good gap, Johnny. And realistically, only the guys that finish better than they normally would or were expecting to are going to like a day like today. Yeah. People used to say all the time, like, yeah, I would always be out there doing the rain dance. Here is Josh Merritt on screen, the number 4 out front, Action Off-Road Yamaha with that fresh, flashy new fly gear, showing it off. Clear trail in front of him. A little bit of dust hanging. He's getting close now to starting to get to the back of some of the lapped riders, but still what was a 25-second gap at the end of lap number 1. Zach pointing out he thought Adam might have put in a charge and got a little closer, but now it's looking like it opened back up just a little bit. Every chance that you have to try to get some clear vision, make up that gap. Next thing you know, you run into a wall of dust, and this is definitely now more than that 25 seconds.
Might be because he sounds like Darth Vader trying to get a breath through that mask, man. That thing looks thick.
I assume he's taking that off by now. Look at this now. Pressure from behind. There. Jared McClure all over the back of Adam McGill, and looks like Wyatt Wilkin is joining the party. So now we've got a serious battle over the number 2 spot. So that's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Didn't look at the clock, but they're going to check into the finish line here in just about another minute and a half or so. And now Bryson Neal not too far behind, so sitting in the number 5 spot. But in some of these longer sections of racetrack, he won't see the riders, but the dust that he sees will be from all the way up to the 2nd place riders. He's got a chance to get himself up there and make some moves.
I know you guys are so visually, like you base off visual cues. In a condition like this, are you telling yourself, like, hey, the dust is getting thicker,
yeah,
I'm getting closer? So
you nailed it. Like when and it can sometimes...
I somehow can see less. I'm doing
better.
better.
Well, but the problem is sometimes it can be such a tease because you're like, oh, thick dust, I'm getting closer, and next thing you know, there's a way, and it's a lapper. And you just got your hopes up because you thought you were catching the guy ahead of you, and then you just back to work, man. But when you know the rider's just ahead of you and the dust starts getting thicker, yeah, it means you're getting closer. It truly does. And a lot of things change. We talk about the dust. We know we haven't had rain. Really, the biggest factor in dust like this is the wind. If it's super windy and it blows the dust right off the trail as soon as it kind of kicks up, it's not so bad. But look at this. McClure
may have gotten around.
May have or did. Nope. So, look they both got around McGill. So McGill, to me, looked like he was laboring a bit in that last shot, possibly having a bike issue because he really looked like he was taking it tenderly through those rocks. Here is now Merritt about a half mile ahead on the racetrack. We'll see what the time gap is, but this is going to shake things up and put Jared McClure into the number 2 spot. It is going to move Wyatt Wilkin up to 3rd. You can see Josh Merritt taking a water bottle there from fiancée Macy Davenport, a former ATV motocross racer herself. And see, there's one of the Jared McClure crew members, Coyote, Albert Jadash, out there pointing Chris Borch a line. Those guys are buddies, and he's helping him get through there, pointing him the smoothest lines. Just behind Borch is the 712 of John Glauda still. Merritt now into the pro pits, looking like he's bypassing the pits this lap. So I wonder if he pitted last lap, possibly. We did not see Merritt come through last lap through the pits. We did see Adam McGill, so it is possible he pitted last lap. Looks like we now are waiting and watching for our 2nd place rider to check in with our Yamaha Racing banner. Adam McGill has a problem. Did you see him look down at the machine there? Something going on. Jared McClure has checked in. 45 seconds now is the lead for Josh Merritt.
On a dusty day.
With the troubles of McGill, it looked like he was holding those guys up, but can't blame him. I mean, he was running in the number 2 spot, but I believe he may have an issue with his machine. We're going to see here McClure coming through and looking like he is also bypassing the pit. So I'm guessing these guys may have stopped last lap, or they're going to stretch it to 3 and then pit. Now Wyatt Wilkin looking like he is coming into pit. Nope, just a water bottle and passing a message along. So 50 minutes in, and these guys are opting, saying, but again, with a 25-minute lap time, so about 2 minutes slower that lap.
Into the pits, and they are looking at the Honda.
working on something. Such a costly time loss for him. He was doing so well in the number 2 spot, riding well, getting that good start on a day where you really need it. Now looking down, what looks like they're working on something, possibly the brake pedal. They're down there by the foot peg brake pedal area. Looks like they're making some attempts at repairs. Can't exactly tell what it is. I see an impact. An impact was just dropped down, possibly trying to change out a foot peg post. That is the mustache himself, Mark McGill, Adam's dad there, helping Adam out so much, wrenching on the machines. And hats off to Adam McGill. Easy to lose your cool in a time like this. He is very calm, cool, collected, composed, knows he's got some of the best in the business working on getting him going. He's just sitting there on the machine, anxiously awaiting his opportunity to get back out there, try to gain back some spots, and get himself back into contention in this race. But a bummer for the Gator, having an excellent start and a good first lap and 3/4 before something went awry with that machine. I think we're going to have Jackson Burrell possibly go down there and try to get an update. Looking like maybe something, again, with the foot peg or Nerf bar area of that machine, but we'll wait to get the official word.
So while we wait on Adam McGill, McGill kind of cool, calm, and collect. Actually, from the body language, looked like McGill thought it might be a quick fix, and then he jumped off of the ATV, ran into the truck.
Guys, you want to talk about some exciting racing. Chris Borich on screen. That will move Borich. Actually, Borich loses a spot to John Glauda, but passing McGill will move him up now from 7th back to 6th place. Look like they're going to get him some fresh Scott goggles. Papa Joe's got, oh, that's not Papa Joe. Somebody else running the fuel can this weekend. That was Levi Cohen there, fueling Chris Borich.
Single-handedly holding that.
Yeah, just no problems.
And oh, look at that. And he actually passed John Glauda Jr. in the pits. John Glauda Jr. was ahead of him when they checked in. McGill still up there. So that's going to move those two riders, Glauda and Borich. It's going to move Borich all the way up to 5th. And it's going to make John Glauda Jr. 6th. We see Hunter Hart back there, not looking very happy.
Not good body language out of Hart. Head shake right there.
And McGill taking off. And this is bad news for Hunter Hart fans, but great news for Bryson Neal fans. The only rider left with a mathematical chance as they run on the racetrack to take a run at Bryson Neal for this overall 2025 championship. Looks like Adam McGill passing some information along to some fans there. With Hart running back in the 9th place spot overall, that is essentially eliminating him from, not essentially, it is eliminating him from title contention here in 2025. We'll have to do some math off the show here. Maybe our producer Adam Gordon can do it for us. But as they run, Bryson Neal would be your 2025 XC1 and overall ATV GNCC champion, running in that number 5 spot, coming into today with a 68-point lead, only needing to leave here with 60 points to wrap up that championship. He could afford to give up 8 points to, and that's Walker Fowler, who's not racing today. Hunter Hart, another 186 to 167.
19.
Yeah, another 19 points back. So, yeah, actually, so it's more than I thought it was. So it's 20... wow, geez, I don't know, a lot. Basically, if Hunter would win and Bryson would DNF, I think he would still be within a few points of, there is Ronnie Rush on screen, so it looks like, oh, that was gasoline. That doesn't feel good. Those tanks, especially on a hot day like today, a lot of air pressure builds up inside them. Here we see Braxton Gross. He has moved up a few more spots in the overall on screen. We show him in the number 9 spot, but we know that he has gotten around Adam McGill and potentially up into 8th place in the overall as they run on track, looking to better his, I believe, career best of 7th place overall at Florida last year. So he needs to make a couple more moves, make a couple more passes, and still sitting back there in the number 20 spot overall, Alex Tiemann. They have not yet completed their 2nd lap. So that is the rider that we're watching to see what he can do with that XC2 title. But right now, his nearest competitor in that championship race, Braxton Gross, leading the way and up inside the top 10 overall, doing everything he can do to keep championship hopes alive.
Chugging out there. Merritt continuing to lead. Interesting talking to, I heard, hey, Stash, I think Jackson Burrell's down there in the pro pits. Working on getting an interview maybe with Mark McGill. But nonetheless, as the Gator goes by right there.
And he was just behind Jay Shadron, so he's dropped back to the 11th place overall spot as they run just behind him, Hunter Hart, who's actually, Hunter Hart was in 10th and is now back behind McGill and Shadron. So a costly loss there for Hunter Hart in the pits, and there is Braxton Gross, your XC2 leader, and he definitely has those riders all now covered on corrected time. And actually he's physically ahead, or not physically ahead of them, but he is showing ahead of them. So up to the 8th place spot now in the overall is the 223, your XC2 leader, Braxton Gross.
Braxton Gross trying to keep the hopes alive at XC2.
We've talked about it before on the show. I think if Jackson can hear us and he wants to break in, let us know if you got an update from the mustache, Mark McGill, on what exactly they had to repair on Adam McGill's machine. But we've talked about it many times on Racer TV. Braxton Gross and his sister, Gwendolyn Gibson, is a top mountain bike racer. Rumors that she's going to come race the EMTB race at Ironman.
Nice.
But she is actually in Switzerland this weekend, racing the final World Cup of the season. Finished pretty well in the short course on Friday, and it looks like Jackson Burrell is ready with the mustache himself, Mark McGill.
Yeah, guys, can you hear me up there? Yeah, here we go. Mark McGill down here. Mark, what's going on with Adam?
He broke the brake pedal off on the left or right side, foot brake. Said you can't stop it. He said you can't go fast if you can't stop it.
All right, so what's the deal? We got him fixed back up?
We put one back on, another one, and took off. So we'll just try to make a good day out of it.
All right.
We had a good start, so we'll see where we end up at the end.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Okay, guys.
Back up to you guys. Okay, we didn't have audio, so it makes it hard for us to say what was said.
Can you hear me now?
But ultimately,
you were good. You were good. It went over the broadcast.
Ultimately, I believe what I overheard from the speakers outside was a broken brake pedal. So that's not a quick change, folks. You got to pull. There's a circlip. You got to pull that pin out. You got to back. There's a big long Allen screw that has to come out from the frame. It's a lengthy change. Then you have to line up the plunger, get it back in. It's multiple pins and clips. It's not just a quick bolt and unbolt situation. So they did a phenomenal job of doing that brake pedal change. And, hats off to Adam McGill. So easy to lose your cool in a situation like that. He looked like he went in, maybe got himself a drink, some fresh goggles, and said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go back out there and do what I could do." So easy to damage shifters, brake pedals, brake rotors. All that kind of stuff. So many rocks out there, and especially in the dust when you can't see them.
Johnny, I was going to ask your perspective on this. Obviously, you've raced here. Obviously, we give a lot of attention to snowshoe and how rocky and nasty and gnarly it is. I brought this up to Jay Shad, and he's like, man, I would argue that this place this year, especially given the dusty conditions, is almost more difficult, taxing as far as the rocky terrain.
Yeah, snowshoe's a tale of two cities, man. I mean, snowshoe, you've got stuff that is literally just sit on the grab bar, hold it wide open, fast as your machine will go, running the ski slopes and the transfer trails, and the parts that they use, we call them fire roads, but they're the access roads that they use to get the snow machines up and down, to get from the top of the bottom of the mountain. There's access roads all over that place, and because the terrain there is so challenging, you can't run 12 miles of that because no one would finish, no one would make it around. And honestly, with that being a ski resort, they're limited as to what parts of the property they'll allow us to race on. So you have to use a lot of these what we call transfer trails to get from one section of the race course to the other, but then it becomes race course. So the sections at Snowshoe that are challenging, Howard's Hole, there's some off-cambers and hill climbs that are just gnarly with massive Volkswagen-sized boulders. There's really not any of that here. But what is challenging about here is, other than the section up by the start and the finish, everything else is woods. There's no field sections, there's no opportunity to rest, and there's no smooth ground. There's just this consistency of rocks that range from golf ball size, big golfer here, swing for it, golf ball size up to, slightly larger than a basketball. It's a mix of all these different rock sizes. And speaking with some of the motorcycle riders who are out pedaling today, as we wait and watch here, it looks like here comes Chris Borch there in the number 5 spot, benefiting from Adam McGill's misfortune there, moving up a spot to 5th. Chris Borch, this is one of his best rides of the season so far, solidly there, but looking like now he's starting to get a little pressure again from John Glauder Jr. there in the number 6 spot. But the motorcycle guys are saying because it's so dry, because there's been no rain, there's no stability to the soil to hold the rocks in place, so they're just kind of rolling around freely, making the race course even that much more challenging. Speaking with some of the riders from the morning race, riders bleeding through their gloves after 2 laps of racing because they're hanging on so tight. Combination of not being able to see and the very uncertain race surface, it just makes it very hard to hang on.
Whew. That's gnarly. I was going to say taking rocks to the hands like buckshot.
No, nothing like that. You know, the rider out front, Josh Merritt, having a career day, potentially looking down the barrel of what could be his second career win. You know, he's really kind of seen a resurgence from him, although only 1 round, but now leading this one, almost winning our last round, losing out by mere inches to Bryson Neal. I believe we did catch up with Josh just to kind of get his take on some other things as well, and we'll hear what he had to say.
So I've been in the pro class for a really long time, and the last 3 years have been the highlight of my career, pretty much. Yeah, I've gone from number 5 to 4, and now I'm sitting 4th again this year with multiple podiums, 1 win, and a very close almost win last race. Like you said, I'm confident. I've just been coming into every single race with a clear head, knowing, hey, I'm here to battle. I'm here to be on that top step. So it makes the racing so much more fun. It makes it easier. Just throughout the week, going to the gym, riding the 4-wheeler during the week, going to work to be able to pay for all this stuff, just all the above, it just makes it that much easier and to go through day to day.
You know, Mikey, watching that Merritt interview, that interview there with Josh Merritt, now we see our second place rider coming through, Jared McClure, in the number 2 spot. This would be a best ride for him in a number of years, sitting in that number 2 spot. Wyatt Wilkin in the number 3 spot, and there he is. Man, he is charging. He sees an opportunity for a podium, and if he knows that the rider behind him is the number 1 of Bryson Neal, you know there's a little bit of sense of urgency, but I think it would take a tow truck to take the smile off of Josh Merritt's face lately. Not just because he's doing well, but it just goes to show, man, when your life is going well, sometimes the results come, and sometimes the results coming can make your life that much better. This is a gentleman who in the last 1.5 years or 2 years, he's gotten engaged. He started a business that's become so successful, just bought a big piece of property. If you follow him on social media, you know, I don't think that was a brag post. I think that was, this is a young man who raced ATVs, didn't really know kind of which direction his life was going, worked at the family marina, now has started a business owner, doing well, you know, is having success in business, having success on the racetrack, having success, enjoying his personal life, and really watching him come of age is quite enjoyable for not only myself, but GNCC fans all around. He's a young punk kid that I wanted to smack around when he was younger, and now he's turning into quite a I shouldn't say super young man, 31 years old, I believe 32 now, but he's really coming of age, and it's so cool to see.
It was interesting to see him, you know, prior to the race starts. You know, the pro guys kind of they get lined up there just after turn number 1 and kind of shoot the breeze a little bit. They kind of, you know, maybe listen to some music, helmets on. Merritt was about the only guy I saw going back and forth from like where XC1 line takes off, and he's just assessing, all right, what line do I want to take? You could really see, and I tried to keep getting his attention, say, hey, what's up, man? Good luck, have a good race. Nope, laser focus. His eyes were just on that start, which paid off because he got the whole shot and, you know, still leading. Yeah, Merritt has put in the work the last few years, and it's just like, where have you been? But you're here now, and that's all that matters.
A lot of changes in his program. You know, we talked about changes in his personal life, and you know, I'll go ahead and do a little bit of schmoozing and brown nosing. I think his fiance Macy has really helped him get focused and see a future not only in racing but in life. You know, when you're this is going to come off as condescending as a near 50-year-old man, but when you're in your 20s, you think you have a plan, and some people do, but some of us kind of mature and grow later and realize, hey, this plan that I have maybe isn't the best plan. You know, Josh Merritt kind of going through, again, working for the family business, doing just fine, but doesn't make a lucrative living racing 4-wheelers, has some great supporters in Action Off-Road and Fly Racing and others that support his program, make it affordable for him to be able to race, but he's not earning a living racing his 4-wheeler. So to be chasing those goals off the track and have someone who's kind of invested in it with you, and she is, if you've ever spoken with her, she's a peach. She keeps him in check, but she's the kindest, sweetest young lady, and you know, she's really helped him focus, and they made some changes in the last couple of years. Got Mark Knopman on the wrenches, got himself a mechanic, got Levi Cohen Outlier Performance as a trainer, got all that support from Action Off-Road and all of his other wonderful sponsors, has great backing from his family, which he's always had, and It's just kind of all the pieces of the puzzle coming together, and here's the result. You're watching it on screen. He is the fastest rider on track right now. Say what you want about visibility, but he executed. He got the start. He got out front. And last race, we didn't have dust issues, and he marched his way. He didn't start in second or in the lead. He started back in 4th or 5th place, worked his way up, and was battling Bryson Neal through the final turns. This is a rider really coming into his own. Not often that you see it, but in his early 30s, he's at the peak of his career.
That's absolutely it. We just saw the Gator buzz by.
Speaking of which, coming to give you guys some updates on that. I know up here in the booth you couldn't hear me. His back brake pedal was broke. They did get that fixed. He is good to go with that. One person that is not good to go, though, I got some updates on Ronnie Rush. I know you guys got a camera shot of him in the pits. What you couldn't see just before that, he was off the machine. The machine was smoking. Something was definitely wrong. Turns out it was his brakes, his rotor, I believe, bent there for Ronnie Rush. So going to have some trouble. That was off mic that we were talking about that with Rush there. So some good information from them.
You know, and I mentioned that when we were talking about how, you know, brake pedal, shifter, things that hang down on the machine, the rear brake rotor on all these machines, they'll run some, I believe some of the Honda riders run a skid plate, but all the Yamaha riders run what they call a rotor guard. It's just a piece of stainless steel that wraps around the bottom of the rotor, bolts to the swing arm. But in rocky conditions like this, where and you heard in Josh's interview, he said it's a fast one-line track with lots of rocks. Where you're carrying so much speed, you hit a rock just wrong, you can break the bolts that mount that rotor skid, and when you do that, your brake rotor is completely exposed. One contact with the rock, and you have no rear brakes.
Yikes. Tough stuff. Well, we are going to take it to a commercial break. It is Josh Merritt leading the way. He grabbed a hole shot. He has not looked back yet. We'll continue. That was Ronnie Rush right there, as we just saw. 714 still putting in the work. But again, it is Josh Merritt leading the way. Some troubles for the Gator. A rear brake issue, or I guess foot brake issue for the Gator. Got it worked out. He is back out and rolling. But the man, Josh Merritt, leading the way. The number 4 machine, trying to hang on for his first win of the season and second of his career. Can he do it? We'll have to wait and see. We'll be right back after this.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 left, the main event, the Mind the Blood, the Bear.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Are you ready to rev up your race game? Look no further than Landers KTM, your ultimate trackside support. We offer top quality parts, gear, accessories, and more. Plus, enjoy free labor from our certified technicians to keep you on track. Join the passion with your local dealership right here to support all your racing needs. Our friendly staff is geared up and ready to take care of you. And don't miss out. Experience up to $500 savings on select KTM Stasics. Available in all sizes. So, what are you waiting for? Swing by Landers KTM today and let us fuel your racing dreams. Landers KTM, where your race begins.
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer. A look here from the Yamaha Racing live drone here at the beautiful Summit Bechtel Reserve in Beckley, West Virginia. The Boy Scout camp here, seeing that beautiful suspended bridge. A lot going on here at this facility, Johnny. We've got some zip lining, we've got some BMX going on, a skate park even open today, and quite the facility we got here.
You want to talk about an awe-inspiring facility. I forget, I was told once, I believe, and I could be wrong on this number, but actually I won't even say it because I forget the exact number, but it's so much acreage here.
10,000.
10,000. Okay, I was going to say.
Yep, 10,000. Some even say as much as 14,000 here on property.
14 was the number that I think, relayed to me at one point by someone who worked here. When you drive in, if you put the address for this place in, it says you're here. And 30 minutes later, you arrive at the GNCC pits. To give you an idea of how big this place is, you come in and you're driving on what appear to be roads, and they are, but you're inside the facility. This place is just huge. We've mentioned it before on the show. I don't know if we've talked about it yet today, but there is such a huge Boy Scout Jamboree that comes here, I believe, every 3 years or 5 years, something like that. And they have like 200,000 Boy Scouts on property that march everywhere and marching away towards what could potentially be win number 2 of his career. Josh Merritt on the number 4 Action Off-Road machine, and that is Jared McClure and Wyatt Wilkin.
I think I'll look just a little farther back.
Yeah, so yep, there we go. So I thought that was 2 different camera shots, but I got a little confused there. So that is your top 3 as they run. So Wilkin now right to the back of Jared McClure, putting heavy pressure. There is 12-time GNCC WXC champion Tracy Checo Pickens there, standing in the blue Yamaha shirt, giving the thumbs up to Jared McClure. Give you an idea of how intertwined the GNCC family is. There is, that's a lap rider coming through there, but that was 2nd and 3rd place. Jeff Pickens, who runs our 40-plus A class, potentially wrapping up a class championship here in the next couple of rounds. Now Bryson Neal on the number 1 machine coming through. That is your 4th place rider, almost in sight of a podium position, just up ahead of him there on the trail. Jeff Pickens, married to Tracy Pickens, 12-time GNCC champion, and Jared McClure works for JP Environmental during the week, which is Jeff's company. So it is a big family here. You know, we talk about it all the time. Youth riders out there this morning, micro riders at 8 a.m. on both ATVs and then 8:45 at our micro motorcycle race, and you see so many of the same names. You guys do all the announcing throughout the day. You see the same last names popping up. You got brothers racing, sisters racing, moms racing, dads racing, cousins, uncles. It really, truly is a big family here at GNCC Racing.
Yeah, it's so cool to see the different generations now, whether it be the Pickens family. We've added another Sakanikas to the mix, I saw this weekend.
Nice. There's like 47 of them.
I'm telling you, it's we're just going to get their own starting row one of these days. It'll just be...
That's the plan, the whole soccer team.
Yep, exactly, the whole squad. So it really is so much fun to see, and very cool to kind of hear, like, even what Josh and Bryson were talking about in the last round, where they did, even on the podium, they talked directly to the youth kids of today and said, hey, you may be MXC1 or YXC1 of today, but you'll be the XC1 stars of tomorrow, and enjoy it, because it's cool, the lifelong friendships that these, not only the kids, but the families as well, all get to have, is what makes GNCC special as the 2-lap card comes out, all of which we're capturing in that Blackwater film. We've got the crew out here this weekend. They've been getting all the shots, including some of our championships getting wrapped up already. But, man, this is going to be a fun one to watch as well. Josh Merritt, like you said, really responding here in the second part of 2025 and showing maybe what could have been. I think the consistency, we've known what he was capable of after many podiums and a win last season, but man, just hasn't quite been able to put all the pieces together. But today, I think you could see from the excitement off of that start, Josh Merritt was not going to be denied. As 2 laps to go, going to try to bring things home, going to stop in for a quick pit.
We should see fuel from almost all of these riders this lap. I'm sure information being passed as to how big his gap is. You can see him antsy there. He put that thing into first gear 37 times, making sure he was downshifted. Now, Jared McClure has checked in with 3 laps complete, and the lead 41 seconds, making up 4 seconds on Merritt that lap. So Merritt not able to extend the lead, and Jared McClure, after getting around Adam McGill, able to make up just a little bit of ground there. But if you're Josh Merritt, you're going to want to keep that gap. You don't want to get these guys in sight. That's just going to do exactly what happened to him last race when on the final lap of racing, he saw the big number 1, the Bidwell Bullet of Bryson Neal in front of him. McClure, now you can see that dry brake cap coming off. Coming in, there's the JMR crew. His girlfriend, Caitlin Osborne, racing earlier today in our WXC class. A very quick pit stop for Jared McClure, knowing that he wanted to hang on to that number 2 spot. And look at this. He actually opened up a gap over Wyatt Wilkin on the last shot. Wilkin was right behind him, and now Wyatt Wilkin just now coming into the pits in the number 3 spot. So will Bryson Neal get close enough to protect? Oh, they're beating on the rear brake rotor, trying to straighten it out.
I was curious because we saw Wilkin a lap ago give some communication to the team there. So
and there is Bryson Neal. Now the hunter has become the hunted. Wyatt Wilkin was hunting down Jared McClure, trying to wrestle away the number 2 spot, but now he has heavy pressure from behind from the number 1 of Bryson Neal. You're defending and looking today, we can't speak about this enough, to put the final touches on his 2025 championship run. And right now, folks, very much in position to do so.
And you have to be wondering what's the situation with Wilkins' back brakes there, because the boss man Shark, he was not happy with how much he bent that wheel. He was trying to go with him when he took back off. So still obviously bent. So going to be interesting to see what Wilkin can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, all you can do, these riders have a lot of little tricks. What they'll typically try to do is if you drag the brakes, you can get them hot enough that it'll actually start to warp the rotor back to straight by putting pressure on it with the brake pads. The problem is, now, Wilkin didn't give up too much time there. He's still very much close enough to McClure that he can see him up the trail ahead of him, but Bryson Neal lurking back there now in the number 4 spot. And this is, I think, the most aggressive we've seen Bryson Neal looking today. He sees a rider in front of him finally and says, okay, now it's time to make a pass. Obviously, at this point, starting in the number 6 spot, or 5 spot, Bryson Neal was able to get around Adam McGill when he broke his brake pedal and had to come into the pits, and now is right to the rear wheels of Wilkin. Josh Merritt just a little further up the trail and still leading the way with a 41-second lead over Jared McClure in the number 2 spot. The downside, what I was mentioning there with Wyatt Wilkin, though, when you're dragging and overusing the brakes on purpose, trying to heat them up, maybe trying to straighten out that rotor a little bit, you also will boil the brake fluid, and then you have to completely not use the brakes for quite a period of time to allow that fluid to come back down below a boiling point to make it usable, where you can feel your brake pedal and it will actually engage those brake pads. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, no doubt. Going to take a look here at some of our lap times from that last lap. Josh Merritt with a 25:34. McClure a 25:31. Looks like he was going to be the fastest person on the track that last time around, with Wilkin a 25:41. Only person close there is going to be Bryson Neal and Josh Merritt to McClure's lap time.
There you go. So Jared McClure with the fastest lap of the race, able to make up, looked like, while it was 4 seconds that was made up on Josh Merritt, but remember, it was actually Adam McGill in the number 2. Well, no, Jared was in second. He had gotten around McGill right before they checked in. So 3 and change seconds is what was made up, and that's what was shown on our lap times there. There is the 712 Phoenix Racing Yamaha of John Glaude Jr. You can see Jay Shatter and his pit crew there, ready to roll, ready to get him some fuel, him running in the number 7 spot. So Glaude has checked in the number 5 spot. Chris Borch looking like he's dropped back to the 8th place spot, so he lost a couple positions there, was running up inside the top 5 a little bit earlier last lap. There we see Shadron now in, right at the end of the pro pits. He'll make a turn around that Rocky Mountain ATV MC banner and be off to start lap number 4.
So there we go. The boys have made their way through the pits now, at least our top riders here in this one.
Adam McGill has made a couple passes now up to the number 8 spot. We saw him back as far as 11th. Now keep in mind, Braxton Gross has not yet checked in with 3 laps complete. Chris Borch also still... Chris Borch's transponder's not working. So we don't know exactly where he's at. We'll have to watch it. It looks like he may still be in the number 5 spot if he's ahead of John Gallardo Jr. He has not checked in on scoring with 3 laps complete, but we just saw him on screen there. And looking at the live feed, he is still ahead of John Gallardo Jr., who is showing in that number 5 spot. And just behind him, Stephen Harrell in 6th. So that is actually 6th and 7th, with Chris Borch still rounding out your top 5 and having a great ride here for the 6-time champion, 75-time race winner. This is a rider who has spent so much time at the front of the GNCC races over his career. He knows exactly what he's doing up there.
No doubt a good run for him here today. The second most winningest rider here in the ATV world of GNCC. So a big points day here today, a huge points day for Bryson Neal, as we've been talking about this entire race. Opportunity to wrap up the championship here. That means opportunity to go ahead and punch his ticket for our cruise we have coming up here for this 50th annual season. That's, I'm sure, all he has got on his mind right now is going on that cruise, nothing else. Hey, all jokes aside, Bryson Neal having the new baby here for the first time, going to be the first race, and what a way to kick things off with wrapping up a championship.
Yeah, Bryson really kind of coming into his own here, and just seems like no matter what gets thrown at the guy, he stays comfortable. Even when things aren't going his way, it doesn't seem like he panics ever, and really just seems like that calmness has paid off for him as we continue to watch him. Not really riding over his head. We heard Mikey at our pre-race report talk about maybe a little under the weather coming into this weekend, and just seems like he's letting this race come to him, knows what he's got as far as the point situation goes, and knows where he's sitting currently is enough to hang on to that number 1 for another year.
Guys, talking about a big points day. Oh, I thought for a minute, I thought that was Jared McClure, but that is actually Braxton Gross, your XC2 leader, who is still in that number 8 spot overall, actually 9th spot overall, because Chris Borch not showing in the running order. We know Chris Borch in that number 5 spot. We'll have to make that adjustment there. But looking at the points, Josh Merritt, 19 points behind Hunter Hart for that number 3 spot. And as they run, or not as they run, coming in the day, 167 to Walker Fowler's 194. So that is 30 minus 3, so 27 points behind. But Josh Merritt looking to, right now, as they run, take over the number 2 spot in points, because Hunter Hart, running 10th overall, actually 11th, because Chris Borch not showing, would only be earning, if he finishes there, 10 points. Josh Merritt would earn 30, meaning he makes up 20 points as they run on track. Josh Merritt, the number 2 rider in points behind Bryson Neal, who would clinch the championship today, and he would have a 1-point lead over Hunter Hart leaving today if they finish the way they're running right now.
And that number 4 was a big deal for Josh Merritt. He was very proud of running that number 4. To be running the number 2, you had to earn those top 10-digit numbers there, and I'm sure Josh Merritt would be over the moon to step away from this season with a 2nd place.
There you go. Points as they run. That would put Josh Merritt with 197 points, meaning that he would be too far behind Bryson Neal. Bryson Neal will wrap up the championship as they run. There is Merritt on screen, and he is absolutely shredding, still trying to stretch out that lead. 41 seconds is what he had over Jared McClure when they checked in with 3 laps complete as they worked their way not quite halfway through. Look at that. That is not 41 seconds, folks. Jared McClure has made up some ground, and we may have ourselves a race for the lead here. Jared McClure putting in a charge. Josh Merritt giving up some time. And that is, I would say, 15 seconds or so. So a big chunk of time, and Wyatt Wilkins still lurking back there as well. We know some brake rotor issues on that rear brake rotor. We saw the shark. Wyatt's dead down there, banging on that thing with the hammer, trying to straighten it out. And there is Bryce Neal, the Bidwell Bullet, well in control of this 2025 championship, running in the number 4 spot. He has a huge points gap as they run on the track, with Walker Fowler not here today. Hunter Hart having a little bit of a rough day back there in that number 11 overall spot. And look at this, folks. Look at the lap times. Last lap, Jared McClure 3.1 seconds faster than Josh Merritt. Well, he's about 25 seconds faster than him so far on this lap, because he's chipped away a 41-second gap down to, we can go back to the clock, but we're going to call it 15 seconds. Somewhere in there, he has made up gobs of time since crossing the finish line and starting lap number 4. He's made up about 25 seconds of that 41-second gap.
Yeah, like you said, Johnny, only 3 and a little bit of change seconds the difference between Merritt and McClure, but even just since we've seen them cross the line, it really seems like he has opened the throttle up even more. I believe OPAG and Race Control, they're going to try to get the exact split as they came through this mile 4 marker, but yeah, McClure maybe saving a bit of energy and releasing it here with a couple of laps to go, trying to track down Josh Merritt.
Well, Jared McClure, another rider who really does well in these conditions and has finished well here before at this facility, very similar to where he grew up in Casca, Pennsylvania. Only difference is the dust here is a little lighter and whiter. Where he's at, it's kind of cold dirt, so it's black dust. So Jared McClure is like, well, this is a lot easier to see through than what I'm used to. But he loves the rocks, loves these conditions. And this is a rider who's won many races in his career, has not been the 2025 or even the 2024 looking at that number 9 on his machine. This is a rider who's been number 3 before, I believe, maybe even number 2 one year, but definitely has been in the top 3 in points at the end of a season previously, has won races, has battled for a number of wins. He knows how to do things at the front of the pack. And if you're Josh Merritt with only 1 win under your belt, you know, you'd rather have a guy behind you that isn't as well versed as the sneaky snake. Jared McClure, you know, he knows what he's doing. He's in position, and he's tracking down Josh Merritt right now.
Yeah, and it's been quite some time since McClure stood on that top step of the podium. You know he's going to be hungrier than most here today. So if he's able to get to the rear wheels of Merritt, we're going to have a dogfight.
Yeah, it's still going to be difficult with the dust, but we talked earlier in the show, once Josh Merritt started getting to the lapped riders, that advantage that he's, there we see, so 12 seconds behind is all it is from 41 seconds just a few miles ago. We'll wait, we'll watch, see if we can get a, oh, there we see a race clock upper left. We'll wait and watch for the number 4 of Josh Merritt. Lapped rider Todd Moscalo there out of the plus 40A class, 6 miles in. About to go a lap down to your race leader, Josh Merritt, and we'll see what the gap is. 12 seconds is what our producer, Adam Gordon, OPAG, has told us was the gap on that last camera shot. What will it be here just a few miles further down the track? Still waiting, still watching for the number 4 of Merritt. This one's very possibly going to get exciting as we are nearly halfway through, a little over halfway through, lap number 4, and we will have a white flag waving in the hands of Ricky Tower when these riders come through. Will it be a last lap shootout? Wyatt Wilkin not too far behind. Bryson Neal lurking back there as well. Still really 4 riders with a realistic chance to potentially get themselves in the mix to battle not only for podium positions, but the overall win here today.
Well, and on top of that, we got to think the lap traffic probably only going to become more and more of a factor as the race wears on. So Josh Merritt may have more challenges up ahead. I've got to wonder whether or not there was a mistake or something by Merritt that allowed that gap to close so quickly. Just seems like when we're watching Merritt, doesn't seem like we're seeing a lot of fatigue in the body language. Still looks like he's on the attack. Got to think maybe something cost a bit of time for the number 4.
29 seconds in the matter of, 2 miles of racetrack. Something happened there. That is a big gap to be erased. Again, could it have been a mistake for Merritt? Could have been a little bottleneck. There is Merritt, and you can see that's full charge mode right there. We've seen him riding calculated and smoothly. 57 seconds as he goes up. That hill climb there. So we are at now approaching near 10 seconds. We're told it was 12. And there is McClure, so it's 13, 14, about 14, 15 seconds there. So Merritt has stretched it out just a few seconds, but Jared McClure is absolutely right there. And then it is the number 3 of Wyatt Wilkin, a rider that Josh Merritt has found so many times on the racetrack for battles in 2024 and also this year in 2025. Those two battling it down to the final round last year. And then here comes the big number 1, the Bidwell Bullet of Bryson Neal in the number 4 spot. And he is only about 30 seconds behind Josh Merritt now. So 15 seconds is the gap, was 12, but previously 41 seconds. So something big changing there before the 4-mile marker, and Josh Merritt giving up about 29 seconds of that 41-second lead.
Talking about Merritt and Wilkin there, those two swapping positions at round 9 and 10. A 4-2 for Josh Merritt after we return from the break. 2-4 there for Wilkin.
I'll give you a look at some of the past winners we've had here at the Mountaineer. Walker Fowler grabbing the win last year. Bryson Neal in 2023. Walker getting the job done in 2022 as well. And then Hunter Hart and Adam McGill both having some success in 2021 and 2020. So several different riders probably carrying some good vibes into this property as well. And Josh Merritt trying to add his name to the list of previous winners as well here. As the lap's starting to wear down, I'm going to look a bit deeper into the pack. Want to give a shout out to Brody Pullen and Andrew Smallwood, both amateur riders inside our top 20 overall. I believe Brody related to Bryce Pullen as well. Bryce got on the overall box earlier today.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so the Pullen family really showing what they're capable of. Brody in the number 15 spot, and then Andrew Smallwood back there in the 20th position. But not quite as surprising. Andrew Tiemann may not have gotten, or Alex Tiemann, excuse me, may not have gotten to start, but that doesn't ever seem to stop him. The guy starts picking riders off, now shown second out of your XC2 class. This could be big once again, not only for the day's results, but the series results as well. I know Alex had a chance to get things done. Believe Gross is his closest competition in points, so anything can happen here with maybe a lap and a half to go. See what Tiemann can mount a charge maybe all the way to the front.
He's going to need a charge of 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
Wow.
That's the gap that Braxton Gross has right now, but still charging from, he was 7th place in that XC2 class the first 2 laps. Now he's all the way up to second. He has made a lot of passes. He's gotten around. Some of these other riders were not ahead of him, but Corey Vandeliner, Logan Steele, Jeremiah Wolf, Chase Allison, he's passed all those guys. Now he has a little bit of clear track in front of him. We'll see what he can do with that gap, but he is going to have to run some blistering fast lap times unless Braxton Gross falters, because right now 2 minutes and 13 seconds is the lead for Gross in that XC2 class. Braxton Gross sitting there in the number 8 actual 9 spot overall. Again, Chris Borch missing from the running order there. Transponder not scoring, but we've seen him in every camera shot. We know he is running there in the number 5 spot.
Coming into today, all of our pro riders talking about how crucial that start was going to be, how they needed to get out front and run away and hide. Braxton Gross, he's been able to do just that for that XC2, executed just the way I imagine he would want to, as we see Galata making his way through here at the mile 6 marker. An hour and 31 minutes here into this one. And as I take a look, just about 7 minutes or so till we expect to see a white flag here in this 5-lap race.
All right, so giving you a look here, if you're just joining us, this is kind of what you've missed so far, as Josh Merritt really making the most of an incredible start. You see him fired up there coming around turn 1. We knew how important the start would be. Well, you see what Josh has been able to do with it. Some bumping and banging a little further back inside the top 10. But Josh opening things up big time early. And we thought that was maybe going to be all she wrote, but sure enough, the gaps have started to close up just a little bit. We see the Gator, Adam McGill, having a very solid start to the day. Had a little bit of bike issues, but stayed cool, calm, and collected, and is still out on track trying to turn in a solid result as well. The Bidwell Bullet, the name a lot of riders talking about coming into today with the potential to bring home the XC1 Pro Championship. The XC2 title potentially up for grabs today as well. So a lot on the line in these final 3 races of the 2025 season. You see the battles right there as Jared McClure really coming to light here this weekend at the Mountaineer. Now starting to reel in the number 4 of Josh Merritt. He's bringing Wyatt Wilkin along with him. And, of course, Bryson Neal as well. Oh, so steady back there on the tail end of the top 5. There you see the number 10. Borge making his way through as well. We lost him on the transponders, but we know he's still out circulating inside that top 10. But Merritt taking that gap. He's had some time to play with. He's lost a little bit of that time, but still out front, got some breathing room. The question is, what does the road ahead look like? The lap rider is going to start to thicken up here at the tail end of this race. Is it going to be enough? Is Josh Merritt going to be able to hang on for his first win of the 2025 season? Or could McClure, potentially Wilkin as well, bent rotor and all, maybe track him down and steal the win away? And you'd be foolish to count out Bryson Neal. If he's inside the top 5, the guy still has a chance to grab the win. I'm just going to say it. But for now, Merritt out front leading the way. McClure in the number 2 spot with Wilkin and Neal trying to track him down. How's it going to play out? We're going to find out when we come back with more GNCC racing right here on Racer TV.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike.
The wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com.
Action all over the place. Action all over this facility, all hours of the day.
Yeah, it's 24/7. It never stops at GNCC. Johnny, this has been one like we've not had in a long time, but like honestly, the big storyline has been Josh Merritt in the number 4, that man right there.
On cue and on screen. We'll see what the gap is. We don't have a race clock, but we can see, kind of count. There we go, race clock coming up, and we'll call it 42. But look at this. Jared McClure keeping it close, folks. He is right there, looking like about maybe-ish 18 to 20 seconds. We didn't have the race clock up exactly, but let's say it was 42, and look at this, Wyatt Wilkins still right there as well. So bent rotor not slowing Wyatt Wilkins down. He's still right there pushing, trying to get close enough to Jared McClure to be able to make a move. And we know lurking back there, and there he is, the number 1, the Bidwell Bullet of Bryson Neal, riding in that number 4 spot. Normally we'd be saying, what's going on with Bryson Neal? We know very tough to pass, very tough to see. But the biggest thing right now, Bryson Neal doing more than enough as they run on the racetrack to wrap up this 2025 championship. 19 seconds now. It was 41, down to 12, then it was 15, now it's 19. For Josh Merritt, you take maybe a little bit of a breather here. You're starting to stretch it back out, but it's still not a comfortable enough gap. We saw him lose 29 seconds in just 1 mile of racetrack 1 lap ago, and now it's down to 19. If that happens again, Jared McClure could be your new race leader, but right now Josh Merritt going through the motions, doing what he needs to do to maintain a semi-comfortable gap of 19 seconds over Jared McClure in the number 2 spot and getting ever so closer to a white flag waving. But Jared McClure can smell blood in the water. There you see one of the JMR crew members there just cheering him on. Working man during the week. Both of these guys, full-time jobs during the week. Josh Merritt, business owner, owns Norton Marine in Norton, Ohio. They maintain and winterize boats. Jared McClure works for JP Environmental in the water treatment plant industry. Wyatt Wilkin back there in the number 3 spot. Your number 3 rider from last year running in the 3rd place spot. And then just behind him, your defending champion and clicking off the laps, getting closer to being your 4-time champion here at the end of the race today if he crosses the line in that number 4 spot. Honestly, as they run, he could drop all the way out of the top 20 and still wrap up this championship. But Hunter Hart back there in the number 11 spot. Our running order is 1 position off because Chris Borge not showing in the scoring there. But Merritt is complete. Lap number 4, and now starting out for the final lap of racing. The white flag is waving. We'll wait and we'll watch for Jared McClure. We'll hit refresh on our live scoring. Get the gap. It was 19 seconds just about a half mile ago. And now, as McClure checks in out of Casket, Pennsylvania, obviously charging 19.3 seconds. OPAG spot on with that time assessment. Jared McClure can smell blood in the water, and he can see the dust ahead of him from the leader, Josh Merritt. Each of these riders, for very different reasons, very much wanting to get this win here today.
We go back a few years. You know, this is
look at how much McClure had to slow down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Lapped rider in front of him. That shows you how much the gaps can change and how much time can be gained or lost. Just a completely innocuous section of racetrack. It wasn't anything difficult, but he couldn't even see where he was going. He had to come nearly to a stop in that section of racetrack, losing valuable seconds to Josh Merritt out front. Lapped rider now giving way, pulling to the side of the track, actually coming in for fuel. That worked out quite well for Jared McClure. McClure now back on the charge, and that's full send mode for Jared McClure with a lap time of 25:58, but the fastest rider on the track this lap, 25:57, Wyatt Wilkin, right back there behind McClure. So Wilkin pushing McClure has pushed them up to within 19 seconds of Josh Merritt.
The sneaky snake, Cobra, we got retro Jared McClure out there. You know, like before Zach and Jackson joined us, he was fighting podiums week in, week out, fighting for wins, and just that war of attrition. He's been off the box the last few years. You got to think he would love nothing more to put it on the box within shot of maybe even getting a win. Just an enormous day for Jared McClure.
Well, and he seems so comfortable as well. That's the thing that even Jackson and I were talking about off camera was McClure just seems like he's right at home, cool under pressure. He knows Wilkins right there behind him, and it just seems like he's able to find a nice flow. And even if he does lose his position to Wilkin, a top 3 finish for McClure. I think his best finish so far this season is a 4th place at round 6. So really turning things around and making a statement to close out the season.
Having raced with Jared for more than 15 years, you won't find a rider that's more cool under pressure. Even as a young rider in the XC1 class, was just very assured of his abilities, very self-confident. You know, not a rider that I wouldn't say was blocking or hard to pass, but he doesn't crack under pressure. You don't get back there behind him. You know, and he also, when he sees a rider ahead of him like Merritt, he knows what a win takes. He knows what that means.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to make the big mistakes. But at this point in his career, he might be willing to risk it a little more for one more of those wins. So Josh Merritt, just a few years younger, a little bit newer in his XC1 career. Again, still a long-time XC1 rider, more than 10 years in the class. But on screen, Merritt with some lap traffic in front of him, having to run the high line there, but able to make the pass and get through that rock garden with no issues. But you can see he is now charging, knowing only 20 seconds to the good he has over Jared McClure. And McClure, a rock specialist, absolutely putting it down right now and trying to get close enough to Merritt. Maybe hoping for a little help from a lapped rider. Maybe another mistake from Merritt. We don't know what happened. What's so cool about you guys, Zach, you guys get these stories after the race and these post-race interviews. And it's so crazy because we have cameras all around this racetrack. We have the drone. You know, we're following these guys as much as possible. They come in and like, yeah, we passed each other 5 or 6 times. And a lot of times you think to yourself, well, We didn't see that, but it just goes to show how much happens out there during the race that we don't catch on Racer TV, but we sure do get a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the stories only continue on the actual podium as well, where they dive a little bit deeper into it. But so many battles, struggles, situations that happen time and time again where it completely changes the way we think the race actually broke down. Biggest thing that I noticed when Josh Merritt was exiting that scene was the wall of dust that he's now riding into. We've been talking about that the whole start of the race. Oh, look how clear it is for Josh Merritt. He hasn't even pulled the roll-offs yet. Now, in the blinding dust, he's got several riders up in front of him going significantly slower. All meanwhile, Jared McClure taking 3 seconds off that gap, 16 seconds now.
Guys, you want to know something interesting. Look at this. The top four separated 19 seconds back is McClure from Merritt. That's your first and second place. Another 14 seconds back to Wilkin in third, and only 8 seconds back to Bryson Neal. Get back to Chris Borch in fourth. 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So it really is a 4-rider battle for those top 4 positions right now. Chris Borch having a heck of a ride there in the number 5 spot. Now, as timing and scoring updates, John Glauda Jr. has checked in. Stephen Harrell, still no Chris Borch, but we know transponder issues throughout the day for him. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, say he's still there in the number 5 spot. We're very close. We'll wait, we'll watch on screen and see if we can get a shot to verify where he is, but we want to make sure to give him some love. Again, a 6-time champion. Did get a text earlier. Chris actually had a 4th place finish at the Mason-Dixon earlier this year, so would not be, as he runs, the absolute best finish of the season, but still a top 5 against the best riders in the world. Chris Borch now 42 years old. 42. You know, he's well into his career. Maybe on the downside a little bit as far as the career arc goes, but still running in the top 5. Nothing to shake a stick at. Really moving out there today.
We just got a couple looks at the gaps between first and second, third, starting to close in a little bit. This is actually something Adam McGill touched on. He said, you know, early in this one, it's basically you get the good start, you're almost in that order up until you start. Your next opportunity would be when you get into some of the lap traffic, forces everybody to bunch up again. So, hey, white flags out. If somebody's going to make a move, maybe we start seeing those gaps go away and somebody taking a shot, like you'd mentioned, Johnny, Jared McClure, maybe one of those guys that say, I've not had a win in a long while. I want to risk it. You don't know how often you're ever going to see one of those again. Maybe he goes for it today.
And this is where fatigue and the fitness of the riders really, really starts to come into play. We're deep into this one now, 1 hour, 47 minutes. This race going to end up going into more than 2 hours long, well over 2 hours actually. And that's where the work that these riders put in during the week, the training that they do both on the bike and off the bike, really comes into play. I believe we had a chance to catch up with our race leader, Josh Merritt, to talk a little bit about the prep that goes into being ready to race GNCC at the highest level.
So, physical aspect of the sport, man, Outlier Performance, my buddy Levi Cohn, he got me 3 years ago. He's like, hey, let's start a program. I'm going to pretty much tell you what to do. And I've been working out with him for 3 years, pretty much my whole life, but we never did it ourselves. Like, he never had a program. We kind of just went to the gym, did some stuff, but now we have a detailed program, and he pretty much puts me through the ringer. It's a lot of work, but it shows. That's the thing. Like, you have to be strong. You can't be straight cardio for a four-wheeler. You have to be strong because these things weigh so much more than a dirt bike, so you have to manhandle them sometimes because they don't do what you want them to do all the time, so you have to make them do what you want them to do. And that definitely, the last 3 years, I've never been stronger, I've never been more fit, and that's obviously showed in my results. And pretty much when I come off the track, I could go another lap, I could go another whole race if I wanted to, but there are some races where you put 110% in and you're wiped out at the end. So it's all about, you know, what the track gives you, what you can do, and you have to put your cardio, your strength into how fast you can push the bike on the track at that given day. Mud races are pretty much the easiest, I would say, because you have to be more smart than you have to be more strong, I would say.
Interesting perspective. I know you guys aren't NBA fans, but I'll throw one out there. There's much debate. ACL injuries and things like that have become very, very prevalent. And they talk about training camps have been shortened in a lot of professional leagues, and they think it's because of the longevity of a season starts to get to these guys who are seeing more injuries. You look at guys in our sport, Caleb Russell, Walker Fowler, they're just a step above the rest, and they talk about that. They practice hard. They want to be able to, as we just see Jared McClure buzz by right there, they want to be able to endure a 4-hour race, a 5-hour race, whatever it may be, so that on those tough days where we have a race like this Duster, Merritt may have some left in the tank. He could go 6 laps if he wanted to.
Yeah, and Jared McClure, fitness always been a strength for him. All these riders, they're very fit. You can't run at the front of these races consistently week in and week out and not be incredibly fit. When you put these guys, training numbers and their heart rate numbers and what they're capable of, their VO2 max and not only cardio but the strength that they have. Again, Outlier Performance, really the first one that I'm aware of bringing kind of more of the weight training. You look at Bryson Neal. I mean, he looks like he could be in a Mr. Olympia contest. He absolutely has a program of his own. I believe he has some trainers he works with. I'm not intentionally not mentioning them. I don't know exactly. I know he worked with, I believe, Off-Road Performance Coach in the past. I don't know who he's working with right now. But these trainers, they build very specific programs for these riders, knowing what they put themselves through for 2 hours on Saturday, on motorcycles, 3 hours on Sunday, and they turn these guys into monsters.
Yeah.
Here we see, looks like some more riders coming through. We did see Josh Merritt was right on the rear wheels of a lapped rider, eating all that dust, knowing that he has 3 riders behind him, pursuing him, trying to wrestle away this win that he has had grasps on since turn number 1, coming from the middle of the start straightaway, kind of chopping over, that all's fair in love and racing, man. He saw an opportunity, had a wheel length, and just made a left turn going into that first left turn a little early, kind of pinching everybody off, positioning himself to grab that hole shot, and then also leading the way throughout the entirety of this one so far. But he's got a lot of riders behind him, hungry to wrestle that spot away. Jared McClure, Wyatt Wilkin, Bryson Neal, all within striking distance. Again, Chris Borch in that number 5 spot, holding on to that position, but about near 3 minutes behind now that battle inside the top 4.
Oddly enough, when you look at the top 5, Merritt, McClure, Wilkin, Neal, Borch, if you were to pick anyone at any other race, pick any one of those guys out that you don't want behind you, you'd probably say Bryson Neal. Today, that might be a little different. Bryson riding very smart, not pushing it, doesn't want to suck in a bunch of dust, end up, risking the machine, etc. He's got a championship he's focusing on. Not saying if it's there, he won't take it.
Sure.
But when you look at Merritt, McClure, Wilkin, and Borich, if I'm any one of those guys, man, I want a win if I can get it. I'm going to push hard.
Yeah, Chris Borch a little too far back to be in the mix for the win, but, McClure and Wilkin right there. Bryson Neal, you can't take the fight out of the dog. And Bryson Neal is a dog. Yeah. He will, given the opportunity. And another thing, I don't know how much communication there is with Bryson Neal and his team, but as he runs on the track right now, he's got the championship wrapped up. But with Hunter Hart back in that number 11 spot overall, Bryson Neal doesn't even need to finish this race to win today. So if you don't want to leave it to chance, you want to make sure you get that machine to the finish line, but that maybe gives him a little more room to get a little risky on this final lap of racing and say, okay, if he knows Hunter's outside the top 10 and knows that, he really doesn't need to do much to wrap up this championship, with the points gap the way they were coming in, Hunter Hart with 186, Bryson Neal with 262. I don't know, my math's not that good.
It is, actually, but okay.
As they run right now on course, we're also having a conversation with our producer, Adam Gordon. As they run on track right now, Josh Merritt would be 1 point ahead of Hunter Hart. But coming into the day, Hunter Hart was the only rider who had a chance at beating Bryson Neal. Josh Merritt was already mathematically eliminated from the championship, meaning that with Hunter Hart back there in the number 11 spot, I believe he is also eliminated from the championship unless, even if Bryson Neal scores no points today. So right now, Bryson, let's see, with 186, Hunter Hart would have 196. Bryson Neal with 262, he's eliminated. Yeah. Running in that number 11 place spot because there's only 60 points left available for the day today. So if Hunter can't better himself, it doesn't matter what Bryson Neal does. Bryson has this championship locked up. Now, does Bryson Neal know that? He may not know. For all he knows, Hunter Hart is right behind him in the number 5 spot, and he needs to get this machine to the finish line. But if he knows that, it may allow him to be a little more aggressive in this final lap of racing, trying to at least, you want to be on the podium in your final race, but at the same time, hey man, The championship is the goal.
That's right.
And if he's got to cross the line in fourth and wait for his opportunity until we clear the podium to go up there and celebrate his championship, I don't think you're going to rain on his parade. Look at this. Wyatt Wilkin to the rear wheels of Jared McClure. And there is Bryson Neal. All three of those guys now basically in the same camera shot. Look how thick that dust here is. Whoa! Bryson Neal's gotten around Wyatt Wilkin.
That was with the number 3. So there you go. Well, I was about to say, and I'm sure Zach is just hoping that Neal finishes off the box. So you got one more podium to do. Yeah,
I have no problem with it because I was going to say.
He's up to third. He's gotten around Wyatt Wilkin.
Different story. Well, this is going to be interesting. Why not? Some more fireworks to close this one out.
And now, if you're Bryson Neal, Jared McClure just ahead of you. Second, it's better than third.
That's right.
But at the same time, a very smart racer, knew the points coming into the day today. Maybe taking a few extra risks this last lap, knowing that Hunter Hart is behind him. But he's surely going to really focus on getting that machine to the finish line. If the second place or even the win present itself, I'm sure he's going to go for it. But I don't think he's riding out of his skin out there, turning himself inside out, trying to get there. I think the war is the goal, not the battle.
That's it. And Bryson Neal, rightfully so, got some extra family here, friends with him. Fully expecting to wrap this thing up, tie a bow around the 2025 season. And the next couple of rounds will just be icing on the cake for him. But, man, can't get enough credit. Merritt, we'll see, man. Do we know the gap last time?
Last we knew on screen, it was down from 19 seconds to 16 seconds, so about 3 seconds made up by Jared McClure. But at scoring, at the completion of lap number 4, was 19 seconds. The previous lap had been 41. We'd seen it get as close as 12 seconds, stretch back out to 16, then 19. Now 19, back down to 16. So we're playing a game of inches at this point. Josh Merritt trying to manage this gap. But we did see Jared McClure, Wyatt Wilkin, and Bryson Neal all put in a much faster lap on the lap number 4 than Josh Merritt. Again, we're making assumptions here, but we think off camera, Josh Merritt losing almost 30 seconds, about 29 seconds in about a mile of racetrack. So we're thinking something may have happened there to cause that, whether it was a crash for him, tangling with a lapped rider, bad line selection, kind of having to get off that machine. Whatever it was, a big chunk of time lost, but it really has stabilized from there. And actually, he's stretched overall since then. He's stretched it out about 4 seconds. So far from over. Jared McClure still in the fight. Bryson Neal gotten around. Wyatt Wilkin now up to the number 3 spot and can see Jared McClure on track ahead of him, which is second place. But Josh Merritt with about a 16-second advantage right now, just clicking off mile markers, trying to get ever so much closer to Ricky Towery, and a checkered flag and a big, big celebration for the Action Off-Road Yamaha rider, pushing the pace, doing everything he can to grab another win here today.
Talking about Wyatt Wilkin, obviously he rocks the number 3. National earned number 3. We've got a couple of rounds left, Johnny. He's currently sitting 5th in the points. And this is a question I'll ask Wyatt, and we'll get the words from him himself. Do you think this is a season, if he ends up 5th at the end of 2025, is it a step backwards, or is he still in that, fighting for top 3s as far as podiums are concerned in moving into too early to talk 2026, but
I think looking at Wyatt Wilkin's season, there's been some races where he did not score any points. He has 2 DNFs. Everything else, a 7th or better place finish. But looking at his finishes, DNF at round 1, then 3.764, another DNF, then 2.724. There is Chris Borch. There's your 5th place rider on screen. That is, and there is John Glauda Jr. So looks like John Glauda has now gotten back again to Chris Borch. We've seen those two going back, not back and forth, but a few passes between them. And then the number 5 of Stephen Harrell should be coming here soon as well. And there he is, Harrell running in the number 7 spot, charging after a absolutely terrible start. He was way in the back of the pack. But I don't think Wyatt Wilkin, minus the 2 DNFs, I don't see how you could call this season a letdown. Obviously, being number 3, sitting in the number 5 spot as they run right now. He will make up some substantial points on Walker Fowler today.
Good point.
But still will be in that number 5 spot at the end of the day today, and Fowler will still have a pretty good gap on him. That said, Wyatt wants to win races. This is a guy, he has not done that yet this year. He does have that one win in 2024, but he's got podiums. He's been so close. He's right there. You got to just keep putting in the work. Yeah. Keep doing what you can do and believe in yourself. I personally wouldn't call this a letdown of a season for Wyatt to drop from number 3 to 5. Those DNFs are just so costly.
Yeah, very good point. You've got to score points every race. We talk about championships, and you got to think when you talk championships, you want to finish on the box as well. So something for Wyatt to work on. We're going to take a short commercial break. Be back here in just a minute with the finale of this salute to first responders here, the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer. We'll be right back after this.
Family values and a homegrown work ethic. Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
What a sight. Summit Bechtel Reserve here for the Mountaineer GNCC in Beckley, West Virginia. Beautiful, beautiful facility. I heard you guys kind of joking about it earlier. You follow GPS and it says you've arrived, and then another 30 minutes later you've actually arrived here on the property.
14,000 acres here.
Holy smokes.
The Summit Bechtel facility that hosts the Boy Scouts once every few years. So many people, making this facility a reality. Gracious enough to open the doors, the gates of this place to GNCC Racing once a year. We've been coming here since 2019, and it really has become one of the marquee stops on the tour. Just such a beautiful facility, such great infrastructure, and a unique racetrack. A lot of the courses that we race these days, it is challenging to find parking. As you can see, there's a city that pulls in here.
And a lot of gravel parking, too.
Yep, and to find parking, a lot of times we end up having to, find a place that doesn't have the biggest selection of terrain for racing on this place. It's a racetrack that just happens to have a ton of parking. So it works out quite well, and we're appreciative to be able to come here year in and year out. This year, maybe conditions not ideal with the dust, but I think if we raced pretty well anywhere on the East Coast right now or the Midwest,
as well.
I think we'd be battling these same very, very dusty conditions. 11-mile marker, waiting and watching. Looking for the number 4 of Josh Merritt out front. Has Jared McClure on that. The leader did just come through, we're being told. Okay, so Josh Merritt still out front, we're being told. We'll wait and we'll watch now for the number 9 of Jared McClure with the charging number 1 of Bryson Neal. And that is not McClure, but now we have Josh Merritt just a little further ahead at the 11-mile marker. And this is it, folks. The final turns awaiting. And Josh Merritt now marching his way towards what will be victory number 2 of his career. Catapulting himself as they run, depending if Hunter Hart continues to run in that number. Oh, it looks like Hart has made it up to the number 10 spot now, which would mean that they would be tied in points as they run. And look at this, speaking of tied up, Bryson Neal tied up with Jared McClure right on his rear wheels, trying to wrestle away the number 2 spot, but McClure fighting, not going to give up the position easily to the Bidwell Bullet. That is the battle for the number 2 spot. Wyatt Wilkin back there in the number 3 spot. Don't see Wilkin there yet. These are some left riders coming through. There is Wilkin. So in the number 4 spot. So just off the podium, Wilkin, something happened a little bit earlier on there, and Bryson Neal able to get a round early in this 5th lap of racing, wrestling away the final podium position and now putting heavy pressure on McClure. But Josh Merritt, just a few more straightaways, no more challenging sections of racetrack, and just some dusty turns. We'll see him here in just a moment. Merritt should be coming through here on the number 4 Action Off-Road Yamaha. Josh Merritt getting to the point now where you're starting to celebrate. You know you've got it all done. You've got it out of the way. All you've got to do is get this machine to the finish line. He has a comfortable gap over the riders behind him, and he will celebrate the 2nd win of his career and catapult himself to tied with Hunter Hart in the points, unless Hunter Hart able to make some time and positions back on this final lap of racing. But it's going to be an absolute dogfight between those 2 riders when we come down to the final round in Ironman, with also still the John Penton left to run. These guys are going to be tied or within a point of each other going into the final 2 rounds of action. Different lines there for Jared McClure and Bryson Neal, but coming out in the same positions they entered. McClure still holding on to the number 2 spot. Bryson Neal badly wanting to take a shot at it.
Yeah, it looked like McClure had a little bit of breathing room compared to the last camera shot we had him in with Neal just behind him. And more, man, poor Wyatt Wilkin had a couple of lappers we saw in that last camera shot he got stuck behind. So he's just trying to make some time up now, see if he can get into it. And how about this? Josh Merritt. Man, this is a man, Johnny, taking the win, 2nd career win, 1st win of the season, that used to joke with you, Johnny, if I ever get a win, I'm going to retire right after. Josh, we are quite thankful you didn't mean that when you said it, because here you go, buddy. You've had a hell of a career since that 1st win, and you got your 2nd career win here today.
And this is going to feel like a win for this guy right here. Jared McClure in the number 2 spot, and can't say enough about this rider here. Jared McClure celebrating number 2, but your 2025 GNCC overall champion, Bryson Neal, crosses the line for 3rd place on the day and puts the wraps on the GNCC championship here in 2025. 4-time champion Bryson Neal.
I don't know that for Zach Heron and Jackson Burrell, they'll have had a more elated top 3 overall.
Usually there's somebody on the podium that's unhappy with being in the top 3. Shout out to Wyatt Wilkin crossing the line there in the number 4 spot, running in a podium position throughout much of the day. But the man of the day, Josh Merritt, the man of the year, Bryson Neal. And I don't know, you got to throw Jared McClure in there for man of the day, because 2nd place ride out of this. We won't call him an old dog, but he's been around a while, and this is the best ride he has put in quite some time. Hats off to the Sneaky Snake, getting it done for the JMR Honda Racing Team, and really, really putting in a solid ride here today. You can see all these guys, just all of the dust, spitting it out, trying to get it out of their lungs. But Bryson Neal celebrating his now 4th national title.
Absolutely incredible. He's been in elite company. He's certainly there now. One of the all-time Bryson Neal, and yeah, man, just stoked for Jared. McClure. The dust's a little different than the snowcross he's been flirting with, so we'll take it.
Yeah, great ride for McClure. Obviously a phenomenal ride for Josh Merritt. A little hiccup there in the middle of the race, giving up almost 30 seconds on end of lap number 3, beginning of lap number 4, but recovered, stretched it back out, grabbing the win, tail of the tape at the end, winning the race by 27 seconds. Josh Merritt, Action Off-Road, Yamaha Fly Racing, all the sponsors that make it happen, and our man Zach Herron is down there with him. Josh Merritt, career win number 2. We're going to hear what he has to say about it.
All right, thanks, guys. Down here with the man who got it done. We see the pit board just in front of him here. Be smart. The final words there, and you were smart start to finish, dude. You come around the first turn out front. You were pumped up. We could see how important that start was here today, but the rest of those 2 hours, absolutely incredible ride, man. Second win of your career. Take us through it.
That was a textbook start. I told Mark, I told Macy, man, that start from the outside has been pulled a couple of times. Sturtevant, Ronnie last year, and it's just textbook. You set yourself up for the second corner, and that's exactly what I did, man. I got that whole shot, and I was pumped up. Going into that second corner, I knew if as long as I didn't mess up today, I had it. And I made one mistake, which I think these guys got a little close to me. Ran into a lapper. Just thought he was going to go one way, came back the other, and I just took a breath. I was like, all right, I know I had like 20 seconds. They were end up 10 seconds behind me, and I was just like, just make as much dust as possible on the last lap, and you'll be fine. And that's exactly what we did, man. And second one of my career. I told Macy I was going to retire after this next one, but I guess we're going to have to finish the year out at least.
You've been working too hard for this to leave now, man. Incredible riding, especially the first half of the race. We'd see you come through, no dust. It was all clean and clear, and we could tell you were kind of going into some of those powder berms, really making things difficult behind you. But late in the race, you were starting to catch some of those lappers' dust as well, trying to ride under a sense of urgency. You knew the guys were closing in the gap. What was that like in the blinding dust like today?
Yeah, so luckily I had almost 3 laps to memorize the track. These guys behind me, kudos to them, man. They were riding blind that entire race, and to be that close, it's impressive because once I got into that dust, it was a new level of difficulty. That track went from like medium hard to extremely hard because you just didn't know where the rocks were, and oh man, I just try to play it so smart and take my time in the hard spots, and it all came together once again.
Hey, you got it done. Second place wasn't enough at round 10. Josh Merritt comes out on top here at round 11.
Retire after your 3rd win. And then when that comes, do it after your 4th. And then just let's keep this going.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a guy that, hey, we'll have to wait and see where Hunter Hart crosses the line. But Josh Merritt potentially either all alone in second place in points after today, or potentially either very near or tied with Hunter Hart for second place in points there. Only one more spot to go from there. When Josh Merritt just wanted to be a top 10 guy early in his career, looking like at the end of the day today, he might be the second best rider in GNCC racing for the season and the best rider here today.
Absolutely incredible. I believe Jackson Burrell standing by with our second place finisher, Jared McClure, the Cobra.
I sure am. He got it done today with a second place. Jared McClure, what a ride, man. Take us through it.
Everybody probably told you already the start was going to be key, and these Baldwin motors make some good power, man. We ripped I think we were like 4th or 5th going into the woods. So, I mean, we wanted the whole shot, but on a day like today, anything up front's crucial. So, just kind of was smart there that first lap in the dust. A couple guys, Owens and stuff, made a few mistakes, and just kind of got up in the second. Caught Adam there, and I think he was second, and he let me by in one of the rock sections, and just put my head down and was trying to make as much dust as I could for the guys behind me and ride smart.
Yeah, you did just that, man. Congratulations on the second place. 2 more rounds left for the year. What's some goals of yours?
Oh, man, I mean, if we keep podiums, man, that'd be awesome. I could use some points. Had a couple bad rounds early in the year. I mean, Penton and Ironman, I've had multiple podiums there in the past, multiple wins at Ironman, so I like the tracks. I do well there. The quad's working awesome, man. These impact solutions shocks, man. They're working awesome. The Texera components. I've been running the same stuff for a while, but it seems like it's just clicking right now.
All right, guys, there it is. Your second place, Jared McClure.
There you go. A season day for Jared McClure. Definitely his best ride of 2025, his best ride in quite some time. We know week in and week out, Jared McClure has the stuff to be up there, just not catching the brakes. But today, everything going his way, saying he was smart early in the race, and then when he had the opportunity, pushed the pace very nearly at one point, getting to the rear wheels of Josh Merritt. The sneaky snake, the Cobra, he's not done.
No, not at all.
He might go snowcross racing in the winter, but he's a GNCC ATV racer the rest of the season, proving it today, and a phenomenal podium ride for Jared McClure.
He'll be racing in the air conditioning soon enough. It's still GNCC time right now.
They need heaters.
So, absolutely correct. But, yeah, no, congratulations to him, man. We are now standing by for an interview with the third as far as the overall is concerned, but wrapping up another national championship for that XC1 class. And sounds like Zach Herron is ready with the national champ, the Bidwell Bullet.
I absolutely am, guys. The celebrations have already begun. Bryson Neal, man, a hard-fought third place today. Brutal conditions, dust flying everywhere, but we get the job done, man. The 2025 championship, you wrap it up. Just take us through today. I heard in that pre-race report maybe a little under the weather coming into the weekend, but we know you put all that aside. You put it behind you when you sit on the line, and you do what needs to get done. Take us through how today went for you.
Yeah, man. Start was just, I knew that was going to be the tail of the tape today. Wherever you started was most likely where you're going to finish. And, man, I got the jump. I was first one in the first corner, and I got smoked on the inside. And just that little bit that I got smashed, I think I went to the woods fifth, and then I came to a complete stop in the dust in the field section. And Wyatt, he had more cojones, and he just hang on it just a little bit more on the right side, and he passed me, so I went back to sixth. And the whole first lap went by, and I think I was like, got a pit board, so I was still in dust. I was like minus 50 seconds down. I was still in dust. I was like, this is going to be a tough one today just to get back to the podium, let alone even think about a win. So we got lucky with Brandon Owens had a oopsie on lap one. We was able to get by him, got in fifth place. Was able to get by Adam in a pit strategy. He pitted early. We kept going. We went one lap extra. I caught Wyatt, and whenever I caught him, he was just getting back on the bike. It looked like he tagged the tree or something, and the dust was just so thick that a whole nother lap went by. And I just still wasn't no closer than what I was when I first saw him. And then he actually got lucky on the last lap. A lap rider got stuck on a rock, and I was able to just squeeze up through the trees on the left side, and I was able to track Jared down, and I was giving a heck, trying to come into the finish and trying to do everything I can, trying to get one more position. But, man, just that track was brutal. I can't say that enough. That was just like last year. Whenever I came back, this is my little baby girl Marley right here. Say hi, Grandma. Yeah, hey, game. We got both grandmas at home and grandpa watching, and all of our family. So just proud to bring her home a championship. And this is my little baby girl Marley. But
that's what I was going to touch on. 2025 has been such a big year for you, becoming a father, man, and all while, meanwhile, containing his composure throughout the racing. We've seen some struggles. We've seen things not go your way. What's been the secret? Obviously, you're very close with your crew here as well. What's that journey been like over 2025, the highs, the lows, and ultimately coming out on top?
Yeah, you know, every year, every championship's got a different journey, different path. You can do everything you can to try to click them off each way, the smooth way, just like last year when we rode into buckwheat. We had the championship plates in the drawer, and we was expecting that day to kind of pop the champagne and celebrate, and then it got drug all the way out to Ironman. So this year we was like, man, whatever it takes, we got to be consistent. We got to be strong. We got strong competition. Everybody's starting real good, and we've been able to do that this year. We've only finished off the podium one single race at Snowshoe. 11 out of 12 races so far, or 10 out of 11. We've been able to finish top 3 on the box, and that's what it takes. It takes consistency. This Phoenix ATV Yamaha team, backed by Yamaha, Donnie Lucy, Blue Crew, David Eller, and the entire Phoenix ATV Yamaha team. This thing is just stellar. We just keep figuring out new things. Like this year, we brought on Walsh. We brought on Factory 43. We tested shocks with Jay Gold with Impact Solutions. We keep trying to push the bar forward and keep trying to find new things, and keep not trying to be stagnant, and just keep trying to get me more comfortable, trying to split hairs, and just keep improving the machine. We've been able to do that. So even though I've I only got one hole shot this year, man. We've been super consistent the entire year. I think we've been in the top 5 every single race, no matter what, except for Mason-Dixon. So it's just we've built a heck of a program, and I'm very proud of it. My dad, Mobile Man, and me, man, we work really hard. The guys at Phoenix, they work hard. All my sponsors, all my family and friends, got a heck of a support group, and it's tough. You know, this GNCC racing ain't easy. Just like look at today. The dust out there was absolutely grueling. I mean, it was just, you couldn't see the ground, couldn't see what he's hitting, and it was just like, just death grip, just Popeye arms, and just hoping, he's just trying to hang on as tight as you could, because no matter what you did, you was going to hit rocks, and us tagging stuff, was jickering the bars, and it's tough grueling day. We got mud races, got the sand, got dusty races like today, we got the rocks of Snowshoe Mountain. There's just so many things that are thrown at you, and it's so hard to prepare these machines for everything we come through. So to do this 4 times now, and you know, to be able to do it 2 rounds early, it's always special. And I've got a special group around me, my family, my friends, my sponsors. Like I said, we work really hard, and even though we had a baby, we got married, we're starting other chapters of life, man. This past summer, before I got sick, man, we was rolling. I mean, we was clicking gears, and the mindset is to keep going forward. And we grabbed another gear this summer. Even though I had a short window coming back into the season, I'm feeling really good, feeling really racy, and we're going to keep trying to push forward and keep this rope tight and keep going into next year strong.
It takes a village. Bryson, Neal, and crew keep it consistent. 3rd on the day and wraps up the 2025 XC1 Championship.
Well, Mikey, I don't know about you, but I heard 2 things in Bryson Neal's voice there. Number 1, a little bit of sickness. You could hear the nasal drip, and the dust today is not going to help that. But he fought through it, put himself on the podium in the number 3 spot, wraps up the championship, and resolve. Like, this is a guy that, despite there's no celebration yet. I mean, he's happy he won the championship, but he's already looking forward to next year. Talking about keep pushing. This is a guy that wants many more wins and many more championships in the future.
Wants to climb up the all-time wins list, maybe the all-time championship list as well. Josh Merritt getting an absolute start. You guys talk about it all the time. Starts are important. On a dusty day, they couldn't be more important than this. Maybe even a little lock-in right there by Josh Merritt early.
There was a couple head nods there. That was a celebration.
Right. I like it. That was a heck yeah. I'm doing well. I'm out in front. Got the start I needed. Boy, from there, it was the Josh Merritt show. XC2 getting a little squirrely in the first turn. And Alex Tiemann, I hadn't checked. I think Alex Tiemann,
I believe,
certainly worked up into a podium position earlier.
Finished second for the day behind Braxton Gross.
So again, it was a lot of Josh Merritt. What a beautiful view. And the Gator, Adam McGill, got to hand it to him. Had a great race going early. Up there with oh my goodness,
Jared McClure battling over the number 2 spot. Adam McGill in that number 2 spot, holding on to it until a broken brake pedal, causing him to have to pit a lap early, not only for fuel, but also ultimately having to change out that brake pedal, dropping him back outside the top 10. He was able to fight his way back. McGill, actually did drop back again at the end there to 13th, but was back up to 8th at one point, so maybe some additional struggles there. But a great ride for Adam McGill early, but Josh Merritt continuing to lead. Jared McClure putting the pressure on late in the race. We heard Josh Merritt talk about a little mistake there and giving up some time. Jared McClure getting very close to him, and then Bryson Neal getting around Wyatt Wilking, putting all of the pressure on Jared McClure, but Josh Merritt holding it to the checkers, grabbing the 2nd win of his career. And after looking at the finishes, taking a look back, where's everybody at? A 27-second margin of victory for Josh Merritt over Jared McClure and Bryson Neal. Also, Josh Merritt putting himself in a tie with Hunter Hart for the number 2 in 2025 with 2 rounds of racing remaining.
So a lot up in the air as far outside of the number 1 plate that will be given to Bryson Neal. Welcome to new baby this year, celebrating with Pop. But a lot left in the air, Johnny, as far as the overall point standing is concerned behind Bryson Neal. No Walker Fowler today, as we know. That opened up the door for Josh Merritt, Wyatt Wilkin, Hunter Hart, all of those guys able to chip away at the points gap they had between them and Walker Fowler.
Yep, and ultimately as they run right now, it is Hunter Hart and Josh Merritt tied for the number 2 spot. Walker Fowler slotting in there now in the number 4 spot, if my math is correct. They are just ahead of about 3 points ahead of Walker Fowler now. So a big change in the points today. But the big story of the day, Bryson Neal getting it done. Championship number 4, 3rd place on the day. And there's so many big stories today. But Jared McClure there in the number 2 spot. A big day for him. A big ride. He needed that one bad, and he delivered.
Yeah, great day for the Cobra, finishing the second top 10 we just looked at there. Johnny, this was an incredible one. Obviously, we crowned a champion today for the XC1, the overall. What's your big takeaways from today?
Coming out of Dust Bowl 2025, I think the big stories of the day, we're going to go with 3, and there are 3 guys that are on the podium. Josh Merritt, second career win, really flawless all day. A couple mistakes here and there, but managing the race, doing what he needs to do, getting the start, and notching another win. Bumping himself up in the points, putting himself in the best position he's ever been in points-wise with only 2 rounds of racing remaining. Jared McClure, you can't even say coming out of nowhere because this guy's won a ton of races, but hasn't been the 2025 he'd like to have. And today, making amends, putting himself on the box in the number 2 spot. Great ride for him. And then Bryson Neal, business as usual, man. Things didn't go his way, didn't get the start, but he just methodically, he's a little sick, a little under the weather, clicks off the laps, puts himself on the box, puts the wraps on title number 4.
I'll put some icing on the cake. Shout out to Jared McClure putting it on the box. We talk a lot about on Sundays of Grant Davis. Okay, this kid's for real. He's not going anywhere. We got to get used to that. On the four-wheel side, Josh Merritt is for real. He is not going anywhere. He is a podium contender, and I think as we go into the last couple of rounds and we move into 2026, Johnny, you speak all the time about what confidence does for a rider. That man is going to be full of confidence heading into the last 2, heading into 2026. This is not the last time, in my opinion, we see Josh Merritt grab a win. Maybe a few more wins before the end of next season.
Couldn't agree more. And if you're watching at home and you saw what Josh said after the race, saying I promised, or I told Macy that if I grabbed a second win, I was going to retire. Disregard what guys say when they come off the racetrack. He was emotional. Josh, don't go retiring. Come back for 2026, 27, 28. Do it as long as you can. You're in the prime of your career, prime of your life, and absolutely just a phenomenal performance from him here today.
It's a great day of racing. We've got more racing coming up on Racer TV. We'll take a look at the broadcast schedule. Obviously, we will be back tomorrow. We'll knock a couple of wheels off, go dirt bike racing here at the Mountaineer. And then MXON, we're going to be taking part in opening ceremonies on October 3rd. And then John Penton, my birthday. I'll be 40. Again, my shameless plug. I wear a size large in bourbon and whiskey. That's going to be taking place on 10-11, and then 10-12, John Penton will go pro bike racing. On behalf of Jackson Burrow, Zach Heron, Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, Josh, Adam, Leah, Adam, Atkins, that is, Kirsten, Mike, John, and Jack Renner, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, our official spotter, Hollywood. Big welcome back to Hollywood. He had a gnarly incident last race. He's already back with us. Our manager, Dan Reinhardt, second engineer, Jack Renner, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our replay operator, Cameron Cotter. Welcome back to Don Hampton, back with the crew with us here this week. Producer Adam Gordon and our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and you've been watching GNCC on RacerTV.com.